Hello, good morning, love wrestling. It is Thursday. It is 9 a.m. and we are here for Firmly Inc. Firmly. I call it Firmly all the time. I just go, hey, what are we doing for Firmly this week? Because it's just quickly. But Firmly Inc., where obviously we've been talking about it for weeks, where we're going to be one day a week now, and we'll be discussing both AEW and WWE all in one show here.
Boy, do we have a lot to talk about.
We do. We didn't go live on Twitter though, bro. I don't know what happened, but for some reason it's saying the Twitter's not working. So no, we're only live on YouTube right now. So let me see if I can swap it over to at least get on Twitch for us.
YouTube was selected.
No, YouTube, we're good. Twitter.
I mean, Twitter. I mean, sorry.
It was selected, yes, but it says something that we couldn't go live for some reason. I've tried to go live again on it, but it's not working. So I'll have to let the boss man know. I'll have to let the boss man know about that one. It says why, but I'm not going to say that publicly. So yeah, so I'll let the boss man know about that because that obviously is going to affect our views today, big time. But anyway,
it's saying a premium account is required.
Yeah.
That's never been the case.
I said I wasn't going to say the reason, Drew.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't
paying. When you say the reason like that, that's probably
not I was reading
ideal
I didn't
situation.
hear what you were saying.
But yeah, there you go. So we'll figure that out. But we are here. Dynamite last night, obviously this past weekend, and Raw was the WWE's weekend. You saw Drew and I. What's going on, Scott? Sandy in the chat. Hello. Welcome in, fellas. Good to see you. A little earlier than usual. You're used to us at Thursdays at 10 a.m. It's going to be Thursdays at 9 a.m. That's what we're going to be doing here. I know we've talked about it for a few weeks to kind of prepare everybody that this move was a coming. And that's where we are. So we are here. Yeah, so we got together with Mr. Pluggo after night one of WrestleMania.
Yes, we did.
We talked about that. I just thought WrestleMania as a whole, I thought it was the tale of two nights. I thought night one was a subpar night with an excellent main event. And then I thought night two was a pretty good to excellent night with a god awful main event. And that's kind of how I viewed Mania. Night one was, night one, the lead up. Don't get me wrong, there were good matches on night one too. I very much enjoyed Jacob Fatu and LA Knight. I very much the main event was incredible on night one. I enjoyed some of the matches on night one. Yeah, well, night two I thought was a fantastic night. And then after Dominic Mysterio won the IC title, it just went down the shitter a little bit. But the main event just left a sour taste in everybody's mouth because it was just god awful. And, even before the stuff at the end happened, I just thought the match itself just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. And I thought that, I don't know. My thing is, and we're going to talk about it, obviously, we know what happened. John Cena defeated Cody Rhodes to win his 17th World Championship. and get the record. So he has the most world championships in the history of what WWE considers the record to be.
Correct.
Which, again, I have no problem with the end result. The end result to me was the right result. John Cena winning the title and leaving with the 17th championship, to me, was the right choice. It was the right decision. It was the right decision.
Same thing.
But that match was ass. It was not good. It was,
it made Cody look like a complete dumbass.
It made again. I don't. People go into the. There are times where I think you can make a wrestle. I think Cody has, for me, like, I just view things a little bit differently. I don't dive into, that made him look weak. When it's a guy like Cody, he's going to show up on SmackDown tomorrow night and he's going to get the biggest pop of it. Like, it doesn't. So
Will
he's
he?
got, yes.
I don't know.
I don't think he's going to show up on SmackDown. He's going to be out for a while.
No, he is going to be at SmackDown.
Okay. So
yeah.
For me, and we'll dive into that other stuff because I know he was getting booed at WrestleMania, but I feel like everybody should have expected that.
I had a feeling it would happen.
The people that were shocked, or like the people that use Cody getting booed as part of their argument the people that are using Cody getting booed as part of their argument to yell at the booking, those people I don't care about. I don't take that argument. Like, the match stunk, and the ending of the match stunk because the booking of the match was bad. But some people are out there, saying like, "Oh, this is, Cody's getting booed because you shouldn't have turned Cena face. You shouldn't have turned Cena heel. The crowd's gonna." And I'm like, no, like, that's not why Cody got. No, that's no. It was going to be a certain section of people that were going to root for John Cena because certain people like heels. So once he turns heel, they're a favorite of his. Beginning. And secondly, a lot of people that were in that crowd, they spent their whole wrestling life rooting for John Cena. Like, John Cena was their hero.
Right. Stuff yeah.
Like that. So now you have John Cena, who's a bad guy. I get it. But a lot of those people aren't going to, they're not going to turn their back on John Cena. Even though he went heel and proverbially turned his back on us, they're just not going to do that. You know what I mean? So that's what, if you do it in the link like that, you're under Love Wrestling. You have to like go into the YouTube chat under you.
No, why is it on Twitch?
Because I went live on Twitch because we're not live on Twitter because the Twitter's broke. I'm trying to get them views, son.
Usually
trying
it's
to get them
YouTube
views, son.
That the chat is.
Well, it did YouTube. It did both.
Oh, it did?
Both.
Oh, okay.
At least on my end, it went to both.
Yeah, I see it now. Yeah, it didn't the Twitter,
but when
Twitch popped up first.
Yeah. But with that being said, I don't know. It's just kind of.
It was a shitty event. It was one of the
awful
events I think I've ever seen. And it's not even because, so like, Sandy earlier said that what a lot of people have been saying of like, oh yeah, actually that made sense to be the main event because John Cena said he was going to ruin wrestling. Yeah. Now, while I don't disagree with that statement, you're not supposed to make it bad. Like, if you say you're going to ruin wrestling.
Oh, we're going to get into that because I have a whole separate thing.
You're not actually supposed to ruin wrestling.
You're
supposed to make it entertaining while ruining wrestling. So not make everyone want to change the channel or scream in anger or anything like that. That's not the point of ruining wrestling. You want to, because, I brought up also that, like, the Death Riders in AEW. Oh, we could talk about both companies now. The Death Riders in AEW was kind of ruining the main events of AEW shows for about 2 months, 3 months.
Yep.
That's not a good thing if the point of the Death Riders is to ruin wrestling. It's not supposed to make you literally not want to watch. You're supposed to want to watch while they are ruining wrestling.
Okay, so okay. I understand that's part of Cena's shtick, as we should say, not stick, shtick, that he's ruining wrestling, and I actually like that part of the shtick. I get that. The last real champion, I'm ruining wrestling. I actually dig that part.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, I like that.
However, my problem is not with them saying it and then getting that. I have more of a problem with the fans. And some of them are like people that I like and respectable, that when people were bitching about the main event, they were like, well, he did say that he was ruining wrestling.
I did make a joke tweet.
Yeah.
In the moment about it.
Talk about Stockholm syndrome. That some people are literally using that as justification for the dog shit that they gave us at the end of Mania. And they're using, oh, well, they did say they were going to ruin wrestling, so blah, blah, blah. You're a fucking moron. You're a moron. What are you thinking by like actually using that to justify that piece of shit that they gave us at the end of WrestleMania? Because there are people out there that are actually justifying that main event by saying, well, they did say they were gonna. No, not of course, not those people that we would say up, like actual people I respect. Saying it. Yeah. And I have a problem with, like, talk about somebody just whipping you. Yeah? You're going to do everything that WWE said? Are you kidding me? The fans that are using that as a justification for that terrible, terrible piece of business that we saw to end the biggest WrestleMania of all time? Really? Really?
Awful. Oh, you know, the largest gate ever, obviously. Obviously. That they're very successful.
Well, duh. That's obviously going to happen.
Because, you know, when it costs like the down payment of a house to buy a ticket.
Also, there were not 123,000 people that went to WrestleMania. It was 62,000 people that went both nights. There wasn't a separate 67,000 people that came for night 2 than night 1.
No, this was the funny part.
They go, over Shawn Michaels, 100,000 people here. No, that's not true. That's not true.
Shawn Michaels comes out of night 1 and says, WrestleMania is sold out. 61,000, blah, 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 blah. And then Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was drunk off his ass riding an ATV and shouldn't have been doing that, crashed into the fucking barricade. Gets in the rings like, well, WrestleMania, pal. WrestleMania is sold out. And then they added 2 more thousand. So last night, the night prior, 61,000 was a sellout. But then night 2, 63,000 was a sellout?
Yeah. I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense.
No. It was very bizarre. It was very, very bizarre.
That was my poorest version of a Stone Cold and a Shawn Michaels impression, and I apologize for that. But yeah, so it's like, what are we doing here? Why can't we just get away from this Vince-esque style of presenting the shows that are like, it's like, come on, we're not stupid. We're not. Some people are very fucking stupid.
I wouldn't say we're as a collective whole, but you know. So I don't know. I just there was just certain aspects of WrestleMania that, and I'm not even talking about the matches. I'm honestly like, even the stuff that I didn't really care for. I had a good time over the weekend. I enjoyed myself during WrestleMania. So like, I'm not one of those like, Saturday night, did I think it could have been better? Yeah, but like, I had fun. Sunday night was awesome up until the last few matches, but I still had a good time. You know what I mean? Like, I still had a real good time with WrestleMania. I'm not even talking about that. It's just,
yeah. The thing too is that Saturday night was helped by the main event.
Yes.
Sunday night was harmed by the main event.
Well, it's the only thing you're talking about. You're not talking, all now,
Well, The
Sunday
Rock
night.
didn't make it any better.
Sunday,
We're gonna get into that also.
Well, listen. Well, yeah, we'll talk about that. And again, I understand why people are upset that The Rock did not show up at WrestleMania. However, you had reputable people, Sean Ross Sapp, Mike Johnson, Meltzer, telling you months ago that The Rock was not going to be at WrestleMania. So if you thought The Rock was still going to show up at WrestleMania, that's kind of on you.
No,
however,
it's not.
Yes, it is. However,
because
if they told you he was not going to be there, he's not going to be there. Those guys are reputable.
He refuted that.
Don't care.
How can you say that?
They told you that he was not going to be at WrestleMania. So if you built it up in your head that he was going to show up at WrestleMania, that is on you Now, again, where I will fault WWE is if he's not going to be at WrestleMania, don't let him fucking show up and do the thing that you did. I know you can't say no to him because
so how can you blame people for thinking that he was going to be there?
Going into WrestleMania, I said, oh, is The Rock going to show up? Probably, but I didn't.
And then when Travis Scott showed up, didn't you think The Rock was going to show up?
Well, no.
No?
Well, when Travis Scott showed up at first, I was like, okay, this is the start of everything. And I think this is where WWE deserves criticism, is because I don't know. From what we've seen of The Rock the last 6 months to a year, you believe anything that comes out of his fucking mouth? They redid a goddamn documentary about WrestleMania last year so he could lie to us for an hour. Literally didn't speak a word of truth in that documentary.
So
I just don't understand why everyone is just taking The Rock. He's been full of shit for a year, dude.
I don't think people realize it until now.
Well,
I will be honest with you. I didn't really realize it. I've been, the whole reason why we started a Firmly WWE was because of the road to WrestleMania last year and how friggin' amazing it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was fully invested and 100% back in WWE because of the road to WrestleMania last year.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. How many times did we hear that? 1,000 over the weekend?
I'm going to hear it for another 2 weeks.
I kept on going. I'm like, all right. I was like, all right, two more matches, and that's it. We don't have to hear the song anymore. 2 more matches, and the song is out of my brain for a year. Thank you.
When he came out on the Netflix premiere, the Raw Netflix premiere.
Yes.
And took a bomb and just placed it in the middle of the ring and walked away and let it explode on all of the creative of last year with Cody and him.
It's wild.
It was puzzling. Everyone was confused about it.
Mm-hmm.
Then he comes out a couple weeks before the Elimination Chamber.
Yep.
And says, I want your soul, Cody Rhodes. And that led to a legitimate weeks-long talk of Cody's probably not going to sell his soul. So whoever wins the Elimination Chamber is probably going to sell their soul. Or are we going to find out before who wins the Elimination Chamber who sells their soul?
Mm-hmm.
The soul aspect of the Elimination Chamber was the prime focus of, is it going to be the winner of the Elimination Chamber? Is it going to be somebody else?
Yeah.
And then the Elimination Chamber happens. John Cena wins. Cody comes out. The Rock comes out with Travis Scott first. Travis Scott comes out first. And then The Rock comes out after him.
Yep.
They walk to the ring. Cody tells him to go fuck himself. Big pop. And then the moment happens. The craziest moment since the Hogan heel turn in 97. The craziest moment in wrestling happens.
Why are we rehashing this? Are we talking about Mania? Are we just going through the timeline? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm confused.
I'm timelining this to make it you
Okay.
understand why The Rock was expected there.
Well, I know why The Rock was expected there. I'm just saying you had reputable sources telling you repeatedly that even after he refuted it, he's not going to be there. So if you decided to believe him, you decided to believe him. I just decided not to because I've seen that he's been full of shit for a year.
Well, I didn't realize that until this year.
Now,
so
again,
I'm sorry.
Again, it is my thing is
the thing is that just to finish that point, the story which he now refutes from Pat
I wonder
McAfee,
why.
The story has been the sole angle of the story was like the biggest part of the story. So now, because he decided not to show up at WrestleMania and everyone is giving him shit for it, now all of a sudden,
wasn't his idea now, though. You know,
he would have done it differently.
No, he does the most Rock thing of all time, which is, and again, I love The Rock. I share a birthday with The Rock. Next Friday, me and The Rock will wake up on our birthday together. I love The Rock. All right. He one of the all-time greats. But this Rock, real life Rock and whatever, like everything he does is to make him look good. That's it. He can sit here and he can say, I care about this, I care about that, I care about this, I care about that. No, you only care about how you look. You only care about how you look. And that interview with McAfee told me everything that I needed to know about it. Because he sits there and he goes, oh, I got a call before Elimination Chamber, and they said, we need help, Rock. We're not selling tickets. So they called The Rock to, we're not selling tickets. We need help. And he goes, all right, let me think about it. And then he says he calls him back and he created this grand idea. He created it. He created this grand idea. I know we're bouncing around, but to me, that whole thing in that interview with McAfee, that is such a slap in the face to Triple H. To me. And
absolutely.
Is Triple H perfect? No, we saw at WrestleMania that he's clearly not perfect. But like Triple H, for the most part, he's been doing a good job since he's taken over, in my opinion. And the wrestlers love him. They love working for him. He seems like he's, and for The Rock to kind of, the reason why they had to go this path, Rock, was because of you. 2 years in a row, Triple H has had ideas, and the booking and writing team has had ideas for Mania that have gotten blown up because of you. Because of you. And then you're going to go on Pat McAfee 2 days later and throw Triple H under the bus and say, well, I would have done it differently. Then fucking show up then. Then you can do it differently. Don't fucking, Monday morning quarterback it, backseat driver it after. Because you know what would have happened if the crowd fucking loved the main event? If the crowd loved the main event, Drew, he would have been on Pat McAfee, would have been like, well, that was the plan when we created this. When we created this, when we put this into motion, that was what we were hoping for. I didn't need to be there. I wanted the focus to be on them. But that's what we were, because everybody would have loved it. But everybody fucking hates it. And then The Rock comes out and he's like, well, I would have done it different. Oh, no shit. No shit. Give me a break.
And the thing is that nobody really, because this was the other thing that I saw people saying too. It's like, oh, well, it's only one person's fault. You can only blame Triple H. You can only blame The Rock. No, the thing is that it's both their faults. It's both their fault because he should have had Rock should have had the presence of mind to realize that you can't just now take a back seat to this after you made it that you were the sole focus of the fucking story. You can't then just go, okay, I'm done, bye, and then never say anything. Because like the comparisons between last year's WrestleMania and this year's WrestleMania builds, when it comes to the main event, complete night and day. last year, he's he's at TV almost every week, either on Raw or SmackDown. He's cutting these 20-minute long Instagram promos who were funny as fuck and incredible. This year, not a fucking peep about WrestleMania.
Yeah, which is another reason why I don't know why people were so bought in on that he was going to be there. He ever since
you cannot blame people for thinking.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
I can because I didn't think it.
But that's your fault.
Because I was right.
Don't put your
well, how's that? Wait,
your philosophy on other people.
I wasn't one of the ones crying that The Rock didn't show up on social media after. How is that my fault? I was right. The guy.
Listen, we don't pull up comments that often anymore, but I've got to pull this one up because to say that a situation involving The Rock where The Rock would not be a reputable source is insane.
Okay.
And when
The Rock says something and then multiple respected journalists or whatever you want to call them, wrestling media people, whatever, come out after that repeatedly and say, don't care what he said.
Wrong before.
Of course. But when they all came out, all of them, and were like, we don't care what The Rock just said. I've talked to people. He's not at Mania. If you still believed he was going to show up at Mania, that's a you problem.
But then the other side of it also is that sometimes WWE, and this was also reported by other reputable people,
Yeah.
And they also got it confirmed that sometimes WWE doesn't even know if The Rock is showing up.
And that's a different scenario because I feel like that is where we should. That is more of the problem. That is more of the problem than anything. Is basically at all times, Triple H has to book a show and write a show in the back, and then in the back of his brain, he has to know, oh, well, at any given moment, I can get a phone call or somebody can show up or that, and I have to just redo all this shit. And it's like, well, that to me, that's not really how Triple H operates. Triple H has long-term plans. Every little, we've seen these things like, Sandy mentions Karrion Kross in the chat. We've seen these things for the past year or so where there are little things that happen in the background of other interviews. There's little things happening in the background with people walking in the back. That is done on purpose because that is how Triple H thinks when he books. He's like, oh, I'm going to sprinkle that back there and we'll get back to that in a month or something like that. That's very hard to do when every 3 or 4 months The Rock is bored or he's like, oh, nobody's talking about me. Nobody's talking about me. I should show up in WWE and make them think that I'm going to do something big because nobody's talking about me because my movies all suck.
You remember what he said when he went to NXT, which was the fucking craziest thing in the world to see The Rock on NXT. But we're never going to see that again.
Oh, God.
Oh, I'm always 20 steps ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
Enjoy the road The Rock is taking you on.
Yeah.
That was a bunch of bullshit.
And it's just like that thought process of how, I don't know. All I know is that the main event stunk. It was the right result. John Cena winning and breaking the record. And I thought Raw, we'll get to Raw because Raw was the best show they did all weekend. But maybe besides NXT kind of ruled. But it was right result. And it was just the thing that bothered me the most. And this isn't even really directly for The Rock, but you can't and again, I am not an anti-Travis. I got something in my eye. I am not a anti-Travis Scott guy either. I wasn't one of those people at Elimination Chamber that was like, why is Travis Scott?
Oh no, neither was I.
I'm not one of those people. I don't care. He's a massive celebrity. You know why he's there. I'm not anti-Travis Scott. My thing is, Travis Scott can't be the only thing you have in the main event of WrestleMania. That can't be it. And if you're going into that saying this is all we have, Travis Scott is the main run-in. Like, that's going to be the big moment of this match is Travis Scott, and you have nothing following that. And I'm not saying The Rock, but you have nothing following that. Nobody coming out to maybe even the odds for Cody and then nothing. I know a lot of people tricked themselves into thinking that Seth Rollins and Heyman were going to be there. That's wrestling fans doing their ultimate wrestling fanding, where they're just like, yeah, I'm just going to create a whole different story on top of this story, and then I'm going to be disappointed about it when it doesn't happen. That is wrestling fans 101. I'm going to create something in my brain, and then when it doesn't happen, I'm going to get angry at the company. We do that 1,000 times. But this is not one of those cases.
For me, I didn't get angry about it because then I realized, oh yeah, this guy isn't involved in this anymore. So
no.
Because I had made a tweet earlier that day of like, oh look, The Rock and Seth Rollins seem to have like a similar thing happening where they were dressing the same, and they both did the flamethrower, they both did the vest, like the Hollywood Rock vest, because that's what Seth wore on last Monday, and so it was kind of like looking like, oh, maybe he sold his soul. How many people were going, who's the third man in because of the 3, 2, 1 throat slit thing,
Mm-hmm.
He really just like fucked up everything.
Yeah.
He completely fucked up everything with what he did at Bad Blood, with what he did at the Raw Netflix debut, what he did at Elimination Chamber. Like every single thing that The Rock did completely toyed with the thoughts and emotions of so many people that had they just not done. And by the way, we're talking about just Triple H and The Rock. Ari Emanuel as well is to blame for this.
Well, because that's if The Rock is speaking truth.
Well, I don't see why he would lie about
I don't think he would lie about, listen. For The Rock to come out publicly
and say,
he
won't lie about Ari
saying,
Emanuel.
we need you. No, but he said, we need you to sell tickets. We're not, yes, I believe him. But
he may have fabricated
that is The Rock glazing himself, because that is his favorite thing to do, is glaze himself. So do I believe that is a 100% accurate? I'm sure Ari Emanuel and him talk often, even probably, but like the way The Rock portrayed it was that Ari Emanuel basically called him, begging him to do something because they were low on tickets. And it's like, okay,
just for like 4,000 extra tickets.
Yeah, like come on, dude.
Big fucking whoop.
Like, they're in Toronto, dude. WWE always does well in Toronto. Like, they were gonna be fine. But it was just one of those things where it was like, again, I believe The Rock that he probably had a conversation like that with Ari Emanuel, but do I think that it happened in a way that The Rock portrayed it? Whereas it seemed like The Rock was like, oh yeah, Ari called me very concerned, basically saying, we need to, can you come up with something? We need anything, Rock. Like, to me, that's more of The Rock making himself look good again. More than
there is definitely something going on behind the scenes. Famously, Triple H and The Rock butt heads. This has happened, and I think a lot of people I was listening to yesterday and everything, they're like, whenever Triple H is interviewed about The Rock, he's like, oh, I've been collaborating with that guy for 25 years. Great guy. And then when The Rock is interviewed about Triple H, he's like, oh, been collaborating with that guy for 25 years. A great guy. But really, there's something I don't know if you saw Jonathan Coachman's video.
I didn't. He's gotten a little jaded with me when it comes to his opinions of wrestling, so I don't really listen to him.
And it's becoming clear that something's going on.
Yeah. Well, no, to me, it's very clear that Triple H is just, at least the vibe that I get, is that Triple H is basically held hostage at any time. Hey, Trips, The Rock wants to come for the show this weekend. Okay, cool. Yeah, so he's going to do his own thing. At this point, I don't even know if they tell Triple H what they're going to do. To be honest, I think that The Rock just goes out there and does his thing, and then he goes, all right, figure that out. Figure that out.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
The problem, though, with Triple H, if we want to talk about the Triple H side of this, is that he does not react well to it. Because
he shouldn't.
Some of the stuff that he booked on WrestleMania was not great.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then also, so now if you see the title of the show and my ticker down here at the bottom, this all was a lashing out as a result of Triple H absolutely knowing that this was going to be the reaction after the Night 2 main event.
I think you can look back on it in hindsight and come to that conclusion. Yeah.
Like,
for sure. Because when he made those comments last week,
and don't be a critic and all this stuff.
Yeah, because when he made those comments last week, kind of out of nowhere, it was just kind of like, what? And everybody kind of like, Triple H has really never spoken that way before. You know what I mean? Like Triple H, if anybody, he books for the fan. Like I feel like that has always been kind of, even when he was doing NXT, like he knew what the fans wanted, and most of the time he gave the fans what they wanted. Like I feel like Triple H books for the fans a lot. And I feel like Triple H knew that he was in a situation, like you said, where his insight and his wrestling background and knowledge, he was like, yeah, this isn't gonna, there's gonna be a lot of people that don't like this. Like, and not just don't like it because the heel's winning, but like, don't like this. Like, really don't. Like, what the hell? You know? And I think
he tried clarifying it with that movie analogy, but it's like, it doesn't matter. You're if you get something, and there are people that are like clap like, those tribalist douchebags on Twitter that like clap like seals for literally anything that WWE or AEW does, because they're just there to be, in their mind, soldiers for the company that doesn't pay for them to do anything on Twitter and doesn't give a shit about them, actually. But
then we talk about them on our show, so they get what they want. That's why. So, that's what they're here for. They want the references. This is what they want. That's why I don't talk about them at all. I don't let them live in here at all.
They don't live in my mind.
You just thought about them and talked about them,
Drew. For a moment, and now I'm moving on.
Hey. No. See, I feel bad now though, because like you said like 10 minutes ago, you were like, this main event soured the evening. And it did, because and obviously it's the main event. We've spent 40 minutes discussing this whole thing, and it's really overshadowed some really good shit that was on night 2. That triple threat to open the show with the ladies was unbelievable.
Amazing.
Unbelievable. The street fight with Drew and Priest, very good. Sleeper match of the weekend, like we talked about last week. We were like, these are two guys that have points to prove. They have points to prove out, and they killed it. And then that fatal 4-way was also very good, with Dom getting the win and him getting his flowers. Oh, like, there was a lot of good stuff. And I'm not one of those people, like, I loved the Randy Orton, Joe Hendry thing. I loved it.
Me too.
I wasn't one of those negative Nancys that was like, it should have been. Shut up.
Oh. This looks like someone's in your head now. Ah.
What?
The negative people and the tribals.
No, there are negative people that we work with that were anti that. But like, really? I'm not talking, again, when I say negative things, I don't talk about the losers. I talk about people that I actually follow and respect. But like, but it's just, yeah, there were people out there, and the people that think that like TNA got buried. I don't understand why people are like, there are legitimate people out there that are like, that didn't do any good for TNA. And I'm like, what?
Well, it probably didn't. I'm not going to assume that
their TNA world champion was on WrestleMania walking down the ring with the TNA Heavyweight Championship around his waist, fighting Randy Orton.
It was amazing for Joe Hendry. I don't think it was amazing for TNA because if your world champion can't go more than 4 minutes with a guy who doesn't
Orton,
Randy Orton. I mean, I can understand
guys of all time.
Listen,
Randy Orton.
I need you to. You're already sitting down, but for anybody else that is standing up, maybe I need you to sit down when I tell you this. Nobody cares about TNA.
Well, I'm not going to go that far. I'm not disrespectful, but
I'm disrespecting because I'm telling you now, that's not going to do what anyone thinks it's going to do for TNA. It ain't going to do shit for TNA.
Okay.
It was great for Joe Hendry.
Yeah.
It ain't doing shit for TNA.
That's fine. I'm just saying, people that think that was like I don't know how you can think that the TNA World Champion being in a match at WrestleMania with one of the true all-time greats is a negative thing for TNA. Do I think it'll move the needle and there's going to be fucking 2 million people watching TNA tonight?
I'm not saying it's going to be no, wait. I'm not saying that it was negative for TNA. I'm saying that it's really nothing at the end of the day.
It is what it is. I'm just there are
how many people are going to watch TNA tonight?
Well, no, obviously tonight you have Between Two Beards to watch. Clearly. You're not gonna watch TNA. What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, there you go. Exactly.
Are you gonna get the filet mignon? Or are you gonna fucking eat fucking chicken nuggets from McDonald's? That's what you're asking me. The filet mignon you're gonna go get Between Two Beards. That's what you watch.
Now I know you're kind of being facetious, but to say that analogy, means something.
What do you mean?
You're calling TNA McDonald's chicken nugget.
McDonald's chicken nuggets are delicious, but they're very, listen, here's why I'm against those people that said, oh, this is terrible for TNA or this did no favors for TNA. It's because did you think the TNA World Champion was going to have a 15-minute fucking match with Randy Orton? Like, again, this is why I have problems a lot, because a lot of the negativity comes from wrestling fans' own expectations. And most fans' expectations are dumb.
A large portion.
And that is why I have a problem. If Joe Hendry comes out, he has this great moment, which is awesome for him. And the stuff that Triple H said after, where he was like, I went to him and I said, hey, this is the easiest one you're ever going to have because you're going to be back here. You're going to be back here. And this is the easiest one you ever have because every time you return, it's going to have more and more expectations because Triple H is saying, we're going to fucking sign you, dude. Clearly. It is very clear. If it hasn't been clear this last calendar year, the second Joe Hendry is a free agent, he is in WWE. And now they've set it up that he doesn't have to go to NXT. He can go right to the main roster. He was in the Royal Rumble. He had a match with Randy Orton at WrestleMania. He actually showed up on NXT on Tuesday night looking like he's going to challenge Obafemi for the NXT title. Champion versus champion maybe in the future. Which, again, guess what, guys? He'll lose. Joe Hendry will lose. It's just that is what he's coming here. And I liked what Triple H said about him. But like, if you thought he was going to come out and have this 20-minute fucking barn burner with Randy, like, what do you think? That's on you. That is on you, man. He's the TNA World Champion. He is. And that was a good spot for them to have that title, to talk about TNA the whole time he was coming down there, to have him on in wrestling at WrestleMania. They will show those highlights for the history of his time being in TNA. And they'll say, oh, our world champion was on WrestleMania. He fought at WrestleMania. And Joe Hendry addressed it in his NXT promo. He said, yeah, you can get on me for losing in 5 minutes, but I did it in front of 60,000 people at WrestleMania while you were sitting in the back. And that was his thing that he said to Trick.
Okay, so I have a question.
I thought the match went longer than I originally thought it was going to go, Drew. And it went 5 minutes.
Let's say it was Jon Moxley, the AEW World Champion, that answers that.
It's different.
Well, how? Why?
Because that would have been a competitive match because of Moxley's history with the WWE. They would not.
Why does the history with WWE have to matter?
Because it just does. They wouldn't have buried Moxley because of they just wouldn't have done it. They wouldn't have done it. TNA is clearly a level below WWE. And in WWE's mind, everybody's a level below. But TNA is a level below those two other companies. They just are. That doesn't mean that they've done a lot of great stuff. They've done a lot of stupid stuff to shoot themselves in the foot over the last year too. But they've done a lot of great stuff over the last year. They're selling out their pay-per-views. They're growing. They have a great roster. Like if you look at NXT and WWE, like there are TNA influences all over they have a great roster.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They are a good company. They've been in business for over 20 years. Like that is a testament to them. Even through all the bullshit that they've gone through. That is a testament to them. Moxley wouldn't have lost in 5 minutes.
I can see people being upset about it because of the history of TNA and how long it's been in business and how the world champion of that promotion should be able to have more than a 3.5 minute match with anybody.
Yeah,
I can see it. But I don't subscribe to it being negative for Joe Hendry like a lot of people did.
I don't think it was negative for Joe Hendry at all. Again, I don't even think it was negative for TNA. I don't.
It's not that it's negative. In my mind, it's not negative for TNA. It just doesn't do anything. Because nobody's going to watch TNA tonight more than we're going to already.
That part of it, yes. I think the people that watch the shows are the people that have always watched the shows. But I think TNA having that feather in their cap that their world champion fought at WrestleMania, that is worth it alone. To me, that is worth it alone. Now, like I said, is that going to create 1.5 million people watching the show tonight? No. But it's not a negative. And people that have that narrative, I just don't know where it's coming from. It's bananas to me.
If anything, it's going to make people watch WWE more, which is what WWE's goal is with everything that they do.
Yeah. I don't know. I just, again, because I felt like night 2 was off to this roaring start and everybody was feeling good and everybody was like, holy crap, this is WrestleMania. This is what WrestleMania is supposed to feel like. And then I felt like the negativity started with the Randy Orton, Joe Hendry thing. And I was like, I feel like...
Oh, yeah, because there was a very questionable and I don't understand thing that also happened before the main event. I think it was before... Yeah, was Joe Hendry and Orton before the main event?
Oh, there were 2 matches after Joe Hendry.
Oh, yeah. So...
Because you had Logan Paul and AJ Styles.
That was before the main event? Okay.
Well, no, it was Orton and Hendry. So you had the 4-way. And then it was Orton and Hendry, and then it was Logan Paul and AJ. Then it was the women's tag title match.
Oh,
then
what
Stone Cold, and then Stone Cold. I didn't care. What do you think Becky was going to lose? And then it was Cody and Cena.
They torpedoed Bayley
on purpose
to do this stupid ass fucking thing that was completely useless.
It wasn't, but that's okay. But yeah. I agree. Bayley's my GOAT. She deserved better. I saw that Chris Van Vliet video.
How can you justify what they did?
Because Bayley's
because Becky's coming back. Big fucking deal.
Well, okay. Yeah. Again, here we go again. Yeah, the biggest women's star of the last decade coming back. Big fucking deal. Big deal, guys.
I'm not saying I'm not saying
wrestler in the company 5 years ago.
I'm not saying that she isn't a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the angle that they did.
Let it play out, Drew. Let it play out. Becky is going to win the IC title from Lyra, and Bayley will come back, and we are going to get a Bayley and Becky feud for the IC title. Bayley the babyface, Becky the heel. And nobody is going to
That was
complain
chicken
about
shit.
that all.
There was
Nobody
no
is
chicken
gonna.
salad to be made out of this. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah,
You can get to something like that creatively in a good way.
I agree.
You did not need to have Bailey and Lyra smash every fucking
Well, that's
women's
different.
tag
We're not.
team.
We're not talking about that. You're talking about the specific Bailey. That we're not talking about that other part because I agree with you, and I agree
No,
with
but
you when
that's
they won the match.
included in this.
I agree with you when they won the match. You having a just put together tag team run through your whole SmackDown women's tag division, probably not a great idea. That's why I didn't want them in the match anyway. But I'm not upset about the Becky. I'm upset that Bailey did not have a WrestleMania match. I'm upset for Bailey. She deserves better. She deserves better. But the whole thing with Becky stepping in as the team, as the tag partner, and then turning. My main complaint is, why didn't you just have her turn at Mania? That's my thing.
Agreed.
Yeah, but the thing
what should have happened?
But the thing at Mania with her subbing in and them winning the top, like again.
No, let her sub in if you can do that.
I had no problem.
But why have them win the tag titles and then the next night lose the tag titles?
That I think is where you can lean into. But I didn't think that this was shit.
That's what I'm upset about.
Okay, well, we're talking about. I thought we were talking about. We haven't even started talking about Raw yet. We were talking about WrestleMania. So I'm talking about the WrestleMania match. I had no problem with what happened at WrestleMania. Did you think Becky was going to show up and lose?
I have a problem with it now that what happened on Raw happened.
Well, yeah, but I also think that their mindset was we can't have Becky lose upon her return. And that's why they did it. I agree. But like once Becky comes back, you know she's not losing. I had picked Liv and Raquel to retain because I did my picks before the Bailey thing. But once Becky comes back, like I was talking to people and I was like, well, we're both going to take losses for the next match because Becky's not losing.
Oh, by the way, congratulations, new KOP champion.
Still waiting for my shipping to
Kicking Out podcast. I told you that title was coming home to us. Okay, I told you.
Don't tell that to Pluggo. Pluggo's angry. He's like, since when does Drew claim that us is us? He's like, Pluggo was like, I'll fight Drew. I'm like, listen, you're not fighting over me. You're not fighting over me.
I'll fight Pluggo if I have to fight Pluggo.
But, yeah, he's like, what is it? He was like, what is this Drew us talk? He goes, did you win that belt for Firmly or did you win it for Beards? I said, I won it for me. I want it for me, first of all. First and foremost, I do everything for me.
As the second Firmly representative on this podcast, I consider myself to be a champion if you're a champion. So Pluggo can consider himself to be a champion if you're a champion. That's Pluggo's decision. I'm telling you, we are now the KOP champion. Congratulations. You have the title and you're the defender. But I get to also say, the title has come home. So
yeah,
I'm very happy.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I have a different KOP. I know it's the Kicking Out podcast, but my second home when not in Brooklyn is King of Prussia in Pennsylvania. So that's my KOP.
Wait, that's the name of a town?
Yes.
King of Prussia.
Yes.
Wow.
KOP. So
that's a crazy town name.
Yeah. So that's my KOP. You can have the Kicking Out podcast KOP, but my KOP is King of Prussia. But maybe one day I'll be a King of Prussia champion. Who knows?
Yeah.
But for now, you are the Kicking Out podcast champion. You brought the title home to us, and I congratulate you.
I'm never giving it up either. So I will defend it.
I hope
every month like I have to, and I will dominate like I have to. So anyway, yeah, I don't know. I just felt like WWE had such momentum going into WrestleMania weekend.
Well, their PR was not great in WrestleMania week either.
I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into that.
We're not going to get into that.
Because I do think people need to.
We'll be here for another hour.
Well, I also think it's just a slippery slope, guys. Like, I get it. We're not always going to agree with people, but we can't consider just because people don't agree with you on certain things that's bad PR. There's a There's a barrier there that you
Well,
just go down a slippery slope.
it's bad PR for your current fan base. If you
Not
want to
really. Not really. I don't think for them
okay, not all of the fan base.
You understand he won, right? Like more of the country voted for him.
Unfortunately, yes.
So I don't think that's a bad PR move when more of the country.
But the whole country is not a fan of WWE.
Oh, I agree, but I'm saying like again, like this is where I am against, I am against it, but I am also I'm not one of those people that immediately is like that's bad PR that they said they're pro somebody that I don't agree with. Like I just don't. That just becomes a slippery because they're entitled to their opinion. Even though I vehemently disagree with it, they are entitled.
I don't know what the political leanings are of everyone that is a WWE fan.
Yeah, of course.
But I will say that it's probably about the same of the presidential election.
Yeah.
I would say maybe it's like 51-49 or maybe even a 50-50 because there are people who hide their conservatism.
Yeah, of course. There's people that hide their other side. There's people that do that anywhere. I just think, again, even though I disagree with what a lot of people said last week when they were talking about that discussion, I have never been, nor will I ever be one of those people that even though I am vehemently against it, that is going to be like.
But remember too, that the company itself has also distanced itself
as it should.
Past.
Well, and they they should. Yes, that is what I have a problem. The company as a whole shouldn't be.
They ain't doing that anymore.
Individually, if you want to say whatever you want to say, you are entitled to say that as an individual. You can do whatever you want. You can say you're pro whatever. I can call you a fucking idiot.
Oh yeah,
multiple people last week. I can call you a fucking idiot, but like you are entitled to having that opinion. When you take the company and you take the company in a certain direction, that is a different. I don't know. You get down a slippery slope and then it creates just arguments and just nonsense.
Andy had a little history lesson about King of Prussia in the chat, by the way.
Well, I knew yes, I learned about, yeah. I just didn't know that was a town name in Pennsylvania. Like, so like King of Prussia, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
That is a wild name. Like I know what King of Prussia is.
5-ish minutes outside of Philadelphia.
Really? That's not bad. And that's where you grew up?
Oh no, it's just someplace I enjoy going to.
Oh,
because
the
mall there is amazing.
Oh, they have a nice mall. I love a good mall. God, where were we? Yeah, see, like I had a big problem, your critical thinking thing that you have there. I had way more of a problem with that line from Triple H than I had about who he fucking voted for. Like I assumed you're rich.
Well, obviously he voted for Donald Trump. But
I was like, you're rich and basically
his
not in charge
explanation
of, the company,
of Donald Trump was also a problem.
Again, if you are
how he gets good heel heat.
Well, yeah. Again, also if you are.
How did we feel about Paul Heyman's deal?
Which one?
The deportation thing.
Again, you're going to call me old school or whatever. I'm not sensitive. That doesn't bother me. He's an asshole heel. Asshole heels say asshole things. That's why I didn't have a problem with MJF when the ladies last week on Dynamite. He's a prick. He's a heel. He does heel things. That's what heels do.
Paul Heyman wasn't being a heel on the Pat McAfee show. That was his real
again. Well, again, probably. Well, look and would that shock you if Paul Heyman is a sleazy guy?
No, not at all.
So why are we upset? Like again, like I just,
it's just about like what my thing is.
10 years ago, we wouldn't have cared if he said that.
I am in the same vein of like what you just said a couple minutes ago.
I just don't let other people's opinions or stupid shit they say live in my fucking head. Like some people, I just
change your opinion about somebody.
100%. And again, everybody is allowed to do that. But like, I don't hear one person say something that's like, oh, that was kind of dick. Oh, And it's like, oh, I fucking hate this person. I can't fucking. I just don't live that way. I just don't live that way.
No, and I generally don't either. It's just that I am completely fine with somebody taking what they feel is their rightful or wrongful opinion
Mhm.
and keeping it to themselves.
Yeah.
It's my main thing when it comes to, really when it comes to the expressing your views on really any type of a topic. My main thing is I just want you to outwardly be a respectful person. Be an empathetic person. Be kind. You know, like there's a lot. I will talk to in my specific community, the LGBT. You know,
Mm.
when there are a lot of like the newer generation now, the younger people who like really want queerness and the gay community to act in a certain way.
Hmm.
And like I don't need a rainbow flag. I've got it in my Twitter bio, and that's just because
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that's I will. You will obviously know. You
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
obviously know
I get
because of the way that I talk sometimes.
it.
You will
What do
obviously
you
know.
mean when you're oogling at people, talking about the wrestler's good looks,
You know,
objectifying them like they're pieces of meat, Drew?
Osiris Griffin.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly. Have
that's
some
my new one.
decorum. Have some decorum, will you?
But I just want to be left alone.
Yeah, that's what
I
every
realize that I'm getting very
I was
deep
gonna say,
into my own mind
we
right
gotta
now.
talk about wrestling. We gotta talk about
We're
wrestling
going
for
to,
one second.
but I'm just saying that I want everyone to understand that you can have the opinion
Of course.
that you have. And does it make you a little bit fake if you are a con- a very deep conservative, but then don't express those views? It does a little bit, but it's something that it's your cross to bear. You've got to go out in the world and you've got to live your life and you've got to do the right thing, hopefully, in your
Yeah.
life and treat people with respect and be kind to people. I don't need, like what I was saying, I don't need everyone to like me because I'm gay. I just need you to respect me as a human being.
Hmm. Well, yeah. I mean, that
So
should go without
when it,
question.
with Paul Heyman, with Triple H, with all of these people who talked about Donald Trump, for people who voted for Donald Trump, for people who didn't, it would just be more beneficial if we all just said, we have differences in our lives, but we respect each other as human
Yeah,
beings.
it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. One side does not play that way. One side does not play that. Well, both sides don't to an extent, but one side definitely doesn't play that way. But yeah, again, it's just one of those things to me where I think it's best when we talk about the wrestling shows that we kind of just keep it to the wrestling shows. And I've always felt that way about my pro athletes that I root for, my actors, my music people. Like, I want you to be good people, but I'm here to listen to your music. I'm not here to hear what you fucking think. I'm here to hear about what you think and what you wrote down on the fucking paper as lyrics. I'm not here to hear you know, your views on this, your views on that. No, shut up and sing the song. You know what I mean? Like, it is one of those things to me where now if you turn out to be a jerk, I am not going to support you anymore. I am not going to support you anymore. And if you're asked the question, it is what it is. But I don't know. I'm just kind of, it just runs down a slippery slope. Because guess what, guys? Like, we talk about AEW, we talk about WWE. There are a lot of people in both those companies that we probably don't align with, in lots of ways. So, but are you not going to watch you know what I mean? It's very hard to separate sometimes because you don't want to separate, and we shouldn't. But it's also like, if we knew everything about everybody, we wouldn't enjoy any form of entertainment because there would be no entertainment.
Very
you
true.
know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? It's hard. All right. Well, I don't even know where to go from there. Raw?
Sure.
Where do we go from there?
Well, what I like now about this new show of ours,
because we haven't.
Is,
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Is we're starting an extra hour early to be so like imagine we just started 5 minutes ago, and we've been talking for a whole hour about all these things. It would be we would have been so far into the show. So this is why we're now starting an extra hour early, so that this way we can ramble about something for a little bit and then get into the nitty-gritty.
We do tend to go down rabbit holes. So
that was like an hour of a rabbit hole circling around.
That all started from just a terrible WrestleMania main event. That's all that started from. We started talking about a terrible WrestleMania main event, and we somehow started talking about Donald Trump. That's where we went from. Like, just we're up here, and then we just went to the bottom of the barrel because that guy's a piece of shit. I shouldn't have said that on here. He's probably gonna throw me in a cage in Salvador or wherever they put the people that disagree with them. So anyway, let's continue, shall we?
Very good Raw after WrestleMania.
Let me tell you, they needed it.
Yeah.
Because after
Sunday, as much as The Rock tried to torpedo it the next day.
Again, because it wasn't about him anymore. They had a really good Raw that had nothing to do with him at all. And he was like, oh, wow, people are talking good. All right, let me come out and say that everything was not, I would have done things differently and everything wasn't my plan and this and that. But Raw was excellent. Raw was very good. I would say, and I know a lot of people say this, easily the best Raw after Mania in the last handful of years.
Yeah.
No question. Like,
absolutely.
Easy. I don't even, like, it was just really, really good. Cena comes out to start it. And I thought this was a good Cena promo.
This.
I popped. Yeah.
This was a very good heel Cena promo.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes, this was very good. He holds up the title. He says, winners write history. He goes, you think that just because I have this now, you can cheer me? I'm supposed to forgive you? He's like, that's not the way a functional relationship works. He goes, is that how you would treat your wife or your child? And, all that stuff. He's like, nah. He goes, every damn one of you owe me an apology, but we don't have the guts to do it. And I was like, I'm sorry, John. I'm like, I never turned my back on you, John, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry, John. He goes, isn't this the show where the crowd hijacks Raw? Like, this is the show, right? He goes, this is usually the show. And then everybody's saying there was a "We aren't sorry" chant by the crowd. Well, everyone started chanting "We are sorry," I believe. And then John,
and then he was like, "Oh, look at them! They're saying we aren't sorry."
Yes, and then John, being the pro, is like, for those at home, they're saying we aren't sorry. And I was like, good on you, John. Good on you, John.
Let me tell you what popped me the biggest about this whole thing.
What was the thing at the end? Because when I saw him pop into frame, I screamed. Are you talking about the Cena promo? Yeah.
About the promo itself.
Yeah.
Was the countdown. I love the countdown.
Yeah. You think they're going to do that every few weeks that he shows up, or like every time?
He's going to do it every time.
He should.
Tomorrow on SmackDown, it's got to go down from 27 to 26. Yes, it has to happen every time.
100%. Yeah. So and then he's saying, he talks about the numbers. They do the countdown. He's like, when that gets down to 0, it's over. This isn't I'm coming back for one. It's over. I'm leaving with this. You are going to have to create a new title. And that's that. Like, once that's 0, it's 0 forever, man. I'm not one of those guys. I'm not coming back. And he goes, and he made it a point, Drew, where he says appearances. He says, not matches, appearances. Which obviously we knew that, but like him saying it means that, like, yeah, You're not getting 27 matches out of me this year, buds. That's not what's going on here. All right. You're going to see me 27 more times. You're probably getting like 10 matches. So, yeah. And I thought that I thought, even though we knew that was going to be the case, I thought that was good for him to kind of lean into that and be like, I don't have to wrestle. That's who, like, I'm John Cena. So an appearance counts as that. Like, I'm not slaving away and wrestling 30 times for you fucking people this year. Like, that's not how that's going to go. All right. And I thought that was good. And he says, all I have to do now is play you guys. And the best chance you had to save yourselves was Cody. But last night he was outshined, outclassed, out-wrestled, and flat out destroyed. And then he goes, and now it's time for you all to look in the mirror and realize that nobody in that locker room has the strength, the speed, or the ruthless aggression. And once he said that, I went, Randy. I knew they were going there anyway, Backlash and St. Louis. We talked about it last week. I knew they were going there. But once he said ruthless aggression, I was like, well, who's the only other guy on the roster that debuted around the same time you did? That would be Randy Orton. So I think he has that ruthless aggression. I think he would have that. And then he keeps on talking where he's like, but unlike, he has a heart and blah, blah, blah. I'd like to do something nice. So he asked the crowd to get their cameras out because they're going to want to remember this moment. And he holds up the title and he's like giving them their last chance of taking a picture of John Cena because he's leaving. And that's his last moment in Vegas forever. And just as he's holding it up, you just see Randy Orton just kind of stand up behind him. And it was like, oh, shit. And Cena turns around and you can hear Cena say, shit, like into the mic as he drops the mic before you, shit. And Orton drops him with an RKO. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. And now Sandy said it. Now for the first time ever, we get to see heel John Cena versus babyface Randy Orton. So in all their history,
we've seen that a couple of times in this run.
You think a couple
first times like this?
All right. I think all right. I thought you were speaking specifically to the Randy thing. I was like, I feel like this will be a one-off.
Oh, no, this will be a one-off.
No, yeah, because we're going to see CM Punk babyface versus heel Cena, which I think will be the first time as well. So we're going to see a lot of those, maybe a lot, but at least those couple. Basically, anybody that Cena has fought before, that if he fights them again this year, it'll be opposite. Yeah, it'll be opposite for him at least. And, that was one of the things that I talked about on Twitter and even like on the post show that I did with Body Slam on Sunday, because we did a watch along here at Love Wrestling for night 2. I said, not Cena just turned heel at Elimination Chamber, but it's been a few months now, like where, we know he's a heel, but that was the first match that John has worked heel in 15 years, 20, whatever it is. Right. So like, that was the first time that he had to go out there and like wrestle like a heel and work heel. So it's going to, and again, it was weird seeing him wrestle that way. I know Lawrence made the crack about the double axe handle and all those things, but it's like, yeah, well, he's a heel. He's supposed to be slow and plodding and taking his time and getting the crowd to really be like, oh, F this, man. Like not, and I mean that like not the way that ended, but you know what I mean? But like, I think it was kind of clever to see that. So, then we had the women's tag match, which saw Liv and Raquel regain the tag team championships. With Liv hitting Oblivion on Lyra Valkyria and pinning her. This was a good match. This match on Raw was way better, obviously.
Oh, way better.
Than the Mania match. This was a very good tag match with these four. And Lyra ends up taking the fall. And then post-match, Becky's kind of getting in the ring, and you can tell she's upset. She didn't lose. Lyra did. She helps Lyra up. She hugs Lyra, and then she just drops her. And she's yelling at her. She's, saying, oh, you lost. I didn't lose. You lost. She leaves. She comes back. She beats down Lyra some more. She hits her with repeated manhandle slams. And Becky Lynch
there's like a point where
heel.
Becky gets out of the ring for like the third time.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, Lyra, get the fuck out of the ring. Why are you still sitting there looking at her? Get the fuck out of the ring. And she gets in again and drops her. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yep. I thought that was really good. We had the New Day then. I loved it. Before they went to commercial, they showed the New Day walking in the back, and they walked past Karrion Kross. And Karrion Kross and Xavier Woods looked at each other, and Karrion Kross just had a giant smile on his face. He was like, "Yeah, incredible."
Karrion Kross,
winner of the weekend, dude. Winner of the weekend. That guy, that promo that he cut.
Wow.
When he sat down at the table, and I was going to talk about that after Raw before we kind of dove into AEW, but since we mentioned, that guy.
We'll do.
And I know we've been touting him, for a while now. That guy. So New Day make their way to the ring. They are the new tag team champions. I do like how their kind of new shtick is "Thank God for the New Day." Like the way that Xavier Woods said, "Thank God for the New Day."
Yeah.
I kind of like how that's their new line. I like that a lot.
Calls back to their origins.
Yes, it's kind of right. I like it. And Kofi Kingston saying there's no team alive better than the New Day. And then we hear the Alpha Academy music. And I want to say, I thought Maxine Dupree was excellent.
She cut a very good promo.
I thought this was a very good promo from Maxine Dupree. She comes out. She says they might be the greatest tag team ever, but the last time they fought Otis and Tozawa, they lost in 60 seconds.
And I don't know when that was because
I don't either. But yeah, and she goes, and now here we are, the Raw after WrestleMania, and I'd love to see you put your money where your mouth is. Put those titles on the line. Xavier Woods goes, "Do you want to see that, Las Vegas?" And the crowd goes, "Yeah." And then Xavier Woods goes, "Yeah, no, we're not gonna no." And then Maxine Dupree says, "Oh, what are the Minutemen scared?" Great line. Great line by Maxine Dupree, the Minutemen. Terrific. She goes, "Are you scared?" And then Kingston goes, "There's no Minutemen around here." He goes, "You want to go? Get a ref. We'll go right now." So a referee gets in the ring. It looks like we're going to have ourselves a match. Before the ref can start the match, the lights go out. And everyone's like, all right, what's this? And then he's back. Rusev makes his appearance. I thought this was kind of an odd place for him to come back.
Very odd.
I expected him to come back on this show. I was like, he's going to come back.
Yeah.
This I expected. But I thought that in this aspect, I thought that this was kind of weird because he came back to attack tag teams. And it's like, well, I get maybe they just wanted him out there with guys that he could beat up, that it wasn't going to affect that much because Rusev comes out and New Day get the hell out of there. And poor Otis and Akira Tozawa are in there, and Rusev just destroys him. He throws Tozawa around. He catches the guy. He catches him. Does the fall away slam. Otis he lays Otis out with the side machka kick. I think they calls it. Stomps him on the back. He puts the accolade in. Otis passes out. They're trying to break it up, and that's how the segment ends. Crowd was over. Obviously, wonderful to see Rusev back. He looked great. I really hope they lean into that Redeemer character that he was in AEW. Yeah. I think that's the character.
The crowd wasn't helping with that.
Listen, that's never going away. You got to lean into Rusev Day as well.
Yeah,
you can be that Redeemer character and work in Rusev Day, and it can work. That Rusev Day is never going around. It's never
not
going away.
Turn it into what it was and keep it as the Redeemer thing.
Yeah,
but I think that they will do that.
Here's the thing: the problem that they had the first time with Rusev is they should have. Well, because when he was doing the Rusev Day stuff, that was clearly over. They should have ran with it and pushed this guy to the fucking moon. But Vince is Vince, and he was like, "Oh, I didn't want this to go that way, so it's not fucking going that way." And they ruined him, and that's why he left. Now, if he's back, if the crowd's doing Rusev Day shit, guys, guess what? I feel like unless The Rock comes back and says we're not doing that, I feel like Triple H is one of those guys that'll be like, okay, we're gonna fucking do that. We're gonna lean into that. You know what I mean?
You missed a hell of a Rusev Miro in AEW because that was a really good character.
Oh my God, that was the best he ever was, Sandy. That was the best he ever was. So I'm look at Rusev the Redeemer, guys. It's not hard. It rolls off the tongue, man. Rusev the Redeemer, not easy peasy. Now I don't know if there was a copyright on Redeemer. I don't know if AEW copywrote or did anything like that, and they can't use that. I don't know. I don't.
Well,
I don't pay attention to things like that. But
Rusev the Redeemer isn't Miro the Redeemer. Unless they just copyrighted.
I was going to say, if they just copyrighted the Redeemer because that was the nickname, all the themes are bad, Sandy. All the themes.
Fucking garbage. That theme.
Listen, again.
Jesus Christ. Get rid of Def Rebel.
We should be very used to bad themes. We should be very used to bad themes by now.
It doesn't make it better when I hear another new terrible theme.
They are very bad. I'm very nervous for what Aleister Black's theme is going to be tomorrow.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Because he had one of the all-time great entrance themes ever.
Oh, man, and he was truly good.
Yeah. He had good theme music in AEW too. Like they had the heavy metal stuff too, but his WWE theme, incredible.
Oh, if he could get his fucking AEW theme, holy shit.
No, I want the old WWE theme. That was his best theme. Incendiary, that was his best.
If he can't get the AEW theme, the old WWE one.
Yeah, I'm very worried about the theme he could have tomorrow. I'm very worried about it. But anyway, yeah. So that happened. That led to a backstage segment with the Judgment Day. All smiles from Finn Balor here. He rolls up and he's got the deadpan face, and you're like, uh-oh.
I knew what they were doing, what was going to happen.
Yeah, but then, he kind of cracks a smile and he says, hey, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? And they're all smiles and stuff like that. All right. This was, for me, this next little segment here was kind of the pleasant surprise of the evening for me. I love this. Io Sky comes out. Such a
rightful winner.
I agree.
Of that match.
I agree. I picked that one wrong. I thought Bianca was gonna, but that match was perfect, man. That was a perfect match. And Io deserved it, and she deserved her flowers that she got when she was out there. She said last night was the best night of her career. She was over the moon. She said she beat the best, and that means that she is the best. She goes, Rhea Ripley thought she could forget me. Bianca tried to forget me, but now all of us will never forget me. And the crowd is saying, you deserve it, all this stuff. Like, it was just that beginning of that promo. I was like, you know what? You deserve those flowers, Io. You were just terrific. And it was very, it made me feel good. It made me feel good. And then she started talking in Japanese a little bit. And then she said, I'm the genius of the sky and I'm the WWE Women's World Champion. Everyone is pumped. And then all of a sudden, Stephanie Vaquer, I almost said ECW, the NXT Women's Champion, Stephanie Vaquer shows up. And immediately I was like, wait a minute. Was not expecting her at all. At all. I was expecting to see some call-ups maybe. She did not come to my mind at all. And this I don't think is a call-up, but like I wasn't expecting this. She comes out, she congratulates Io, she introduces herself. And Io Sky kind of, she's clapping for her and stuff like that. And she said, I wanted to come out here and show you respect. And she goes, and I want to fight the best. And it turns into Stephanie, bless you. It turns into Stephanie saying, I want to fight you. I want to test myself against the best. I want to have a match. And Io saying, yeah, all right, I'm good with that. I want to fight the best too. Let's go. And then Adam Pearce comes out and they do the thing where he asks the crowd, like the crowd's going to say, no, you kidding me? And exactly. So they make the match. And then we got for free, we got Io Sky versus Stephanie Vaquer on Raw. And this match, even though there was a dusty finish that led to other cool things, this match for what we got was awesome, as you would expect it to be. Oh,
Very, very good.
so
And
good.
Sandy asks if I've seen her in NXT. Let me answer with ah, ah,
Oh,
ah,
listen,
ah.
listen. I know why. Listen, I know why people have
Oh,
qualms
God.
about Booker T at the table. I get it. All right.
Uh.
When on Tuesday night, when she fought on Tuesday night on NXT, Stephanie Vicker, when she went to set up for that move, she pointed at Booker T, which she had never done before. So she goes and like before she even picks up Roxanne, because they had that was the main event of NXT this week. It was the NXT Women's Championship, which I assumed would actually be Roxanne's last NXT match. I feel like I've been saying that for the last like 4 Roxanne NXT matches.
Right?
But why I say that now and I feel pretty confident about it is because Stephanie and Io had this fantastic match. But towards the end of it, Roxanne Perez shows up out of nowhere and attacks and lays out Io. Not Stephanie, who she's fighting the next night on NXT. She attacks Io.
Julia attacked.
Yes. So then Io wins by DQ, and then all of a sudden Julia arrives and takes out Vicker, and they share a nod. Like her and Roxanne look at each other. They kind of like, oh yeah, and they just start beating down Io and Stephanie Vicker, which completely different from what we've been seeing in NXT. Though Roxanne and Julia have been enemies, not together. But it looks like, at least on the main roster, they're teasing that maybe they could be a tag team, or maybe there's more coming, and maybe it's a group. I don't know. They were both wearing black hoods. Like they were both wearing.
Well, that's like the classic wrestling thing.
Yeah. But I don't know where this is going to go. But we hear Rhea Ripley's music hit. Rhea Ripley makes the save. She hits Roxanne with a headbutt. And then her and Julia have a stare down. And I'm not going to lie to you, Drew. You know how The Rock does the... That's what I had. That's what I had when Julia and Rhea were staring at each other. I was like, can you give me this soon, please? Thank you. But then Julia takes off. She doesn't go. I'm out of here. And then Rhea picks up the title. She hands the title to Io. She gives Io her respect finally. And she says, I'm coming for this. Like, we're not done. I'm coming for this. And at one point when Rhea was looking at Roxanne and Julia, she mouthed, she said, nobody hurts Io but me. Like, that's what nobody hurts Io but me. That was one of the things that Rhea said. But all right, so now we have this post angle where Julia, we assume that this was a call. Like the Stephanie Vicker thing didn't seem like a call up to me. Felt like NXT's in town. We can do this. Let's do this. You know what I mean? But
I don't think it's a call up. I wouldn't consider it to be a call up for Julia either.
Oh, I would.
You think so?
Yeah, that was an angle. Or do you think they were playing that angle up for NXT? Do you think that's what they were doing? I think her and Roxanne clearly aligned with each other.
Well, see, now that you told me that
and the fact that they attacked Io, I mean, if they just would have attacked Stephanie and made it, because Roxanne's fighting Stephanie the next night for the title. Julia, obviously, that's her old title that Stephanie beat her for. If they just would have attacked Stephanie, I feel like I would have been. But the fact that they involved Io and they attacked them both, they looked at each other, they nodded, and they attacked both of them. That made me think that maybe Roxanne and Julia.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
I don't like, now that you told me, I don't like that they're aligning while feuding somewhere else. That doesn't make sense. That's like the Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa thing.
Well, I don't think they're going to be feuding somewhere else, though, because I don't think Roxanne is in NXT anymore, because Roxanne lost that main event to Vicker, and I actually do think that is the end. I don't think Roxanne will be on NXT.
But then you think Julia is also...
Well, Julia came out after and had a stare down with Stephanie on Tuesday. So I feel like that will probably be, they'll have another match, them two. But the way it was portrayed to me on Raw, I viewed it as, oh shit, when I saw Roxanne, I was like, that makes sense. Roxanne should be on the main roster. She's already kind of been up there. But when I saw Julia,
she was in the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, and she has the record for longest time ever in the women's rumble. Like she should be on the main roster.
You could see a very clear path to Roxanne versus Bayley at WrestleMania.
That's what it should have been. But the Julia aspect of it, to me, I was just like, that felt like Julia was coming up with her. Again, we'll have to see. Who knows? But that's at least the vibe that I got from it. But either way, a cool little nifty angle to see some NXT, to see some new faces. Stephanie pop up, Julia, Roxanne we've seen, but like new faces, fresh life. You know what I mean? Like it makes everybody feel better, you know? And then let's continue along. Jey Uso, they had a great like vignette / music video about his life.
This was so awesome.
Yeah, this was very good. This was good.
And then it led to legitimately one of the most anxiety-ridden segments I have ever seen.
were you anxious? I was screaming for Sammy to kick his head off. But
I know, because you're anti-Jey Uso.
I'm not anti-Jey Uso. I just want heel turns. I want people to, yeah. So it did, yes. Jey Uso comes out. He's doing that thing where he can't talk for like 10 minutes. Emotional, all that stuff. He says the road wasn't easy, but he gave it all he had at Mania to beat Gunther, and he made him tap. He said he's grateful. He's going to show up every week. He's going to put the work in like he always has. And he says, if you're all excited to have Jey Uso as your champion, I want to hear a yeet. The crowd yeets. And then Sami Zayn comes out. And he says, he says, I almost didn't come to Las Vegas at all, but I knew I had to because I wanted to make sure that I was the first one to stand in this ring across from you, look you in the eye, man to man, with that belt, and tell you how proud I am of you. He goes, I'm your brother, my dog, your Oos. I love you. I'm proud of you. And they have a great moment. Jey holds the title up.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a great moment. Jey goes up to one corner. Sammy goes up to the other. Jay's holding up the belt. They're looking at each other. They're celebrating. Everyone's having a good time. And then there was a part of this where Jay's in the corner and Sammy is in the middle of the ring and he's looking up at Jey in the corner. And I'm sitting there.
The crowd started reacting and because they thought it was going to happen.
Yes.
Too.
And I'm sitting here going, kick him. I'm just saying, do it, Sammy. Do it. Do it. But then he did. Jimmy Uso then comes out. Big Jim. Big Jim comes out. And everybody's all hunky-dory. They're doing they're doing their little handshake that they have there. And all three of them celebrate. So everybody in the bloodline except Roman is out there celebrating with Jey.
And then both of them raise Jay's hands. And I go, oh God. Mm-hmm. My heart was in my throat for like 8 solid minutes of just like, wait, is it going to be Sammy? Is it going to be Jimmy? Is it going to be Jimmy and Sammy? What's happening here? And thankfully nothing happened for now, at least.
Yeah.
But the whole crowd, when Jay is up on that turnbuckle and they shoot the camera angle in that specific way.
Do you think the crowd was reacting that way because they didn't want Sammy to turn on Jay, or that they didn't want Sammy to go heel? Because I would be more upset about Sami Zayn going.
Both.
I like, me personally, I would be way more upset about Sammy being like a bad guy than him going against Jey. You know what I mean? Like, I was in that moment. I was like, now is the crowd really upset because they don't want to boo Sammy, or are they really upset that he's about to attack Jey?
What would be his motivation anyway? The last time we saw him,
the title. It? What do you mean that's it? That should
against
be the
his best friend.
That should be the only motivation. It's the fucking title.
So Kevin. Okay, so Kevin Owens beats his own personality into Sami Zayn, is what you're saying.
I mean,
So
I
Sami
don't.
Zayn now is the guy that turns on all his best friends. You're muted, by the way. I don't know what happened. Well, while JPJ figures.
Am I back? Am I back?
Oh, okay. You're back. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I don't think it necessarily has to be the. I don't think it necessarily has to be, oh, KO taught me that or anything like that. I just think, listen, Sami Zayn is a guy that has always wanted to be world champion. And I think, he went after Cody. Cody was his buddy. He had a match with Cody for the title. Like Cody's his buddy.
Yeah, but he didn't turn heel on Cody.
I agree. And I don't think that Sami needs to necessarily turn heel against Jay to have the match. I think he can respectfully go to Jay and be like, hey, man, you're my brother. I'm glad you're the champion, but like, I want an opportunity. And I think Jay would give it to him. Listen, obviously Kevin Owens, who is a massive heel in the company, is going to be gone for a long time, right? So that is a massive void. And
there are massive heels in the company.
I was going to say they have a heel problem right now, to be honest with you. In my opinion, I feel like they have way more massive heels than they do massive baby faces. And that is an issue that WWE has currently. And when you have Sami Zayn, who in my opinion is one of your massive baby faces.
Yes.
Even though I love a good heel turn and I love a good, I like
a good heel turn that makes sense. I'm not like,
I mean, for
right
me,
now, it doesn't make sense for me.
That's fair. But for me, going for the title always makes it make sense.
But you don't have to turn heel for that.
No, but if you want to have an advantage to win the title, I mean, you got to do whatever it takes sometimes. So like, it is what it is. Like I'm very much of the belief that if you are wrestling and your goal is to not be the world champion, why are you wrestling?
Oh no, I agree with that.
That's just how I feel. So Sami wanting the world title,
but then every person going after a title would be a heel.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, not necessarily. I don't know. To me, if Sami were to attack Jay in that moment and he said, I want the world title, that is enough for me, at least. That is enough justification for doing what he did. I'd be like, yeah, I get it. Do whatever it takes, bro.
Yeah, that's not.
No. Do whatever it takes. Not everything has to be a super duper layered thing. It could just be like, yeah, he has the world title and I want the world title.
That makes sense. But to turn heel doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It makes turning heel on somebody has to make sense in order for that to be something at least in my eyes. If Sami turned heel on him on Monday,
yeah,
just out of nowhere like that, wouldn't it make absolutely no sense to me at all?
Yeah. I mean, I would have liked it. But
just saying, hey, I want a shot at the title. Okay, friends fight each other, but friends don't.
Are you telling me
heel on each other?
Are you telling me that Sami Zayn, who has the history that he has with Jey Uso and the Bloodline, that him turning on Jey Uso would not make sense? So you tell me, because I feel like Sami could attack Jey Uso at any moment, and he could just go, "Yeah, remember a couple years ago? I didn't forget about that."
He should turn on Roman. That would make 1,000% sense. Absolutely. But Jey, who fought to redeem himself, and also for Sami, also
after a year of Jey torturing Sami and not wanting him in the Bloodline.
Yeah, but they very much made up after that.
Oh, I agree.
Like they left a plot line.
No, I agree. I agree. But I'm saying I feel like it could be like an easy thing. Sami Uso, though, Sami Uso. But I don't know if it was a force.
That's why it doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know if it was a foreshadowing thing, like it is going to happen. I think there's more money in Jimmy turning on him than Sammy, to be honest with you. And I think that yeah, but now that he's the champ, though, I do feel like I do feel like the Usos deserve a redemption one-on-one match from that awful thing that they gave us at WrestleMania last year. I feel like a redemption is needed at some point.
I don't need that.
But
they could just be a tag team again.
Oh, he's the world champ now. Come on.
After he loses the world championship.
Yeah. I don't know. So the one thing, and again, it was the night after Mania, so we have to see. I'm thinking about like who could be. I mean, yeah, we'll get there. So after this, we get footage of Logan Paul getting interviewed after his match at Mania. And the interviewer kind of gave him some shit at first, and he's like, "What? I didn't see that. I didn't see me struggle. And then he was like, "Most important thing is I got to win. I'm going to fight anybody. I maintain my WrestleMania winning streak." And that was that. And then it cuts right to AJ Styles, who's getting interviewed backstage, who obviously lost to Logan Paul at WrestleMania. And he says, I can't lie. It's a hard pill to swallow. He goes, Logan Paul played his games. He got his lackeys involved, and I lost. It is what it is. He goes, but I'm going to move on and I'm going to be okay. And he goes, part of being phenomenal is bouncing. And he was going to say bouncing back, but Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux roll up. Kross says there is no bouncing back from losing to Logan. He goes, losing to Logan legitimized him. He goes, you're not going to, and then AJ says, I'm not going back to the guy I was a year ago because I hated that guy. I hated that guy that I saw in the mirror. And he goes, I'm not going to let you take me down. He tells Kross to go solve the Logan Paul problem himself. And that is that. So I feel like they're going to turn Karrion Kross babyface against Logan Paul here. I think that's the direction they're going. I think he should be a tweener though.
I thought it was going to be Kross and AJ.
That's what it felt like. But when he says, go figure out the Logan Paul situation yourself, what does that mean? Because obviously at the end of the match, Karrion Kross he was at ringside. And this is the Mania match. He was at ringside and he distracted AJ, which helped Logan Paul win. And then the next night, Kross
he didn't technically distract AJ. He was more trying to help AJ, but he didn't get involved to distract.
No. But I'm saying him being out there was a distraction to AJ Styles, which caused AJ to lose.
Yeah.
He didn't go out there and like help. No, he didn't go out there and like help Logan Paul or distract him that way. No, but like just him being out there was a distraction to AJ, and that's part of the reason why he lost. So I came out of WrestleMania thinking like, oh, they're going to go with Kross and AJ here for a little bit, and that's good. That's a good feud for Kross, like that. Yeah, but then the way the angle went on Monday, with AJ saying, "You go figure out the Logan Paul problem yourself, dude. I'm not dealing with this." It made me think, is Kross going to be dealing with Logan Paul, or is he going to stick to AJ? Because it felt like he would just be going with AJ, like you said.
Right.
But the whole Logan Paul and them still mentioning Logan Paul and AJ basically being like, screw you, man. Like, you go deal with Logan yourself. That makes me think, like, is Kross going to be involved with Logan? Like, is that? I don't know. That kind of confused me, that angle of it. But
by the way,
either way,
Logan Paul was so boring in that promo. It was just, he just sounded so disinterested and
it was monotone. It was right after his match. I mean, he had a 20-minute match out there. So I'm sure he was out of breath and probably like, I don't want to be fucking talking to you right now. I just want to go back to my locker room, whatever. But
the match even wasn't that great, to be honest.
No, it was very long too. It was long. That was like the second longest match of the night.
He's not there to be entertaining or wrestle really anymore. He's just there to collect a paycheck. So,
first of all, it takes two to tango. I don't think that match is all on. Again, I don't want to be sitting here defending Logan Paul, but this is where the bias comes in from my co-host with this individual. AJ was in there too.
I didn't like it.
You're saying his. It was a match with him and AJ. There was another guy in there that had that match. We're just
so you
ragging
thought
on
that AJ was bad in that match?
I thought the match was the way the match was booked by the agent or whoever did it. It was not good. I think Logan Paul hit all his moves and hit all his spots. He did everything that he normally does. I just thought that match shouldn't have been 18 and a half minutes. Should have been like 11. If that match was 11 minutes and they all hit their shit that they hit without the extra 7 or 8 minutes that it had to be, we probably think a little bit differently than that match. Maybe not the people in it, but I think we think a little bit differently about the match. I think it was the second longest match of the night. Why? In a one-on-one match with no title involved. I get it. AJ's one of the best in-ring guys of all time. I get it. Logan Paul is very athletic and he's good in the ring. I get it. But why was that match going 19 minutes when it was that type of match? Like, that should have been a 10-minute, hit all your shit, do all your fancy high-flying moves, get all your shit in, get the crowd going nuts for 10 minutes. Logan, you're winning. Okay. I think we all would have felt AJ wasn't good in that match. Yeah, he wasn't. AJ, both of them were.
The match itself wasn't great.
It just wasn't.
So that is the fault of both of them.
It just wasn't great. And again, I feel like we're going to talk about AEW here in a second. I feel like not the same similar thing, but remember when the Hurt Business fought the Outrunners, and that match ended up being like 12 minutes long when it should have been 5. That match would have felt dramatically different if it was a 5-minute match as opposed to a 12-minute match.
That should have taken the length of the Joe Hendry, Randy Orton match.
Yes, and that match would have felt dramatically different to us. I feel the same way. If this was a 10 to 12-minute match, I think we would have said, oh, that match was all right. That match was okay. As opposed to why was that a 20-minute fucking, why did that happen? I don't get it. But either way. Yeah. So we go to commercial, Drew. We come back from commercial, and Gunther is yelling at the commentary team.
Okay, so we're gonna very too.
Yeah, yes, we are, because this was arguably the second best angle they did on Raw. So we are gonna argue on this. Now, the aftermath after this, I don't think we needed to watch Pat McAfee walking to the fucking back for 15 minutes, coughing up a lung. That was a little much. But Gunther is yelling at commentary. He's not mic'd up. He's just yelling. Michael Cole is on headset. Like, we can hear him like normal. And he's like, we're just doing our job. We're just doing our job. I don't know why you're angry. I don't know why you're out here. I don't know what you're saying. We're just doing our job. And Michael Cole stands up. And is like, because Gunther's like, you getting up? And Michael Cole's like, yep. And Michael Cole gets up and listen, I love you, Michael Cole. When you say to Gunther, quote, I'm not the one who tapped out, you deserve anything you get. You deserve anything you get. Use your brain, Michael. Use your brain. You've been doing this for a long time, Michael. So he says, I'm not the one who tapped out, which Gunther goes, F you, buddy. And he hits the headset off of Michael Cole. He shoves Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee kind of falls over his chair a little bit, gets out of frame. And then he grabs Cole and he puts him in the choke. So then Pat gets up, like which I loved. I loved Pat sticking up for Michael Cole. I'm all in on that. Yeah, get your hands off Michael Cole. I'm all in on that. So Pat gives him the forearm to separate Gunther from Michael Cole. And then, security's out there at this point. Michael Cole seems to be okay. Pat then turns around, like he's looking at Gunther a little bit. He then turns around and he starts walking like back to the desk, like they're just going to get back to the desk. Gunther then breaks through the security guards and he slaps on the chokehold with Pat McAfee and he chokes him out for what felt like 2 minutes. Just choked him out. The thing I really liked about this sequence is how his buddies hopped the rail. I like how his buddies hopped the rail like they didn't even give a shit. They're like, nope, they hopped the rail. They're going to try to save their friend. Security's holding them back. It's just like chaos. It's just pure chaos. Meanwhile, Pat McAfee is getting his ass choked out by Gunther. His face is as red as a tomato. And then eventually they get Gunther off of him. And McAfee is just laying face down, unconscious. Gunther gets the hell out of there. Adam Pearce is like yelling at Gunther the whole time he's walking back with him, like just in his ear, just screaming at him. Gunther doesn't care, just no emotion on his face, just walking. And then, like I said, after that, I don't need to see Pat McAfee slowly walking up the ramp for 5 minutes. Then we go to commercial, and then he's slowly in the back. Like, I didn't need to see that whole second half of that part of it. But I thought all in all, again, I don't think this also doesn't need to lead to a match or anything like that, which is what I'm afraid
now that's the problem that I have with this.
But we don't know yet. But we don't know. We assume, and we're probably not going to be wrong. But as of now, we've seen guys attack announcers before, and it doesn't lead. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like Sandy mentioned Lesnar, when Lesnar came out and attacked Michael Cole after Mania that one year and stuff like that. Like, I'm hoping it goes more that way than, remember when he gave him the F5 and he F5'd his shoes off?
Oh, the shoe. Yes.
That was, so, Sandy, I would be okay if it was a Wade Barrett and Gunther situation.
Yeah, I didn't care about this at all.
I think you're in the minority here.
I may be. I might as well be. I was just like, I'm like, what's Gunther randomly doing out here? He's murdering Pat McAfee out of nowhere. Why are we doing this? Like, I'm just like, okay. And then I'm like, okay, so people who were pissed off about Gunther and Jey Uso, are you happy about Gunther and Pat McAfee now? You thought Jey Uso was unqualified and lower than him. Are you happy about Pat McAfee?
Well, I mean, I don't think Gunther's going to be losing to Pat McAfee.
Well, no, he's not.
If they go that way, I don't think he's going to be losing. But,
most likely he wouldn't be. But if they did this to just show Gunther pissed off, I feel better about it. But I absolutely 100% do not need to see Gunther and Pat McAfee in a match together. I have no interest.
I don't either, which is why I'm hoping it doesn't lead to that. But again,
it took Pat McAfee off of commentary for the rest of the night, which was fine with me.
Yeah, but I don't hate on Pat on commentary like other people. But
I'm just like, okay, fine. This took nearly 16, 17 minutes of the show away. That could have been something else.
I mean, listen, again, Raw was as good an episode as they've had all year. So I again, like, even with this happening on it, this was as good a Raw as we've seen. But it is one of those things where, again, I'm just one of those guys, like, I like when heels do dastardly shit, and beating up announcers is dastardly shit.
Yes, it is.
We're gonna talk about it. Way that FTR did some dastardly shit last night, and I fucking loved it.
If the end of that segment was Pat laid out on the floor, red, purple, he sold it well. I'm not taking it, and don't take anything against him there. He sold it well. If it ended there and we moved on, perfect.
Yeah.
But then they do the carry him to the back.
Yeah, that's what I didn't like.
Cole is there. He's like, he's telling Adam Pearce, this isn't right. Something, blah, 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 blah. Then Michael Cole, Joe Tessitore now comes out, and he's at the desk. And then
he's in like casual clothes too, Joe. Like, he was like, I was just here. He's in like he had a blazer on, but like very casual.
It's laser on the table.
Yeah, very
casual. That was very good.
Yes, I like that. And then the moment they gave Michael Cole on the other side of this was very good, which I liked. Where Michael Cole was talking to Pearce, and Pearce is like, you can take the night off. And he's like, no, I'm going to go do my damn job. And the crowd's like, hell yeah, Michael Cole. And, and then he walks
the
down the
pop
ramp.
that he got when he walked
he deserved
out.
that shit.
I like
that shit. I thought they did that very well.
That makes me go, oh, well, there's a match happening because why are they doing all of this?
Now, yeah. Again, it is what it is. Do I think that is the best use of what's going on, Fernando? Do I think that's the best use of Gunther? No. But again, I will say I've been to plenty of wrestling events in my day and recently. When Pat McAfee comes out, he routinely gets one of the biggest pops of the night, whether you like him or you don't.
Yeah, he does.
It is what it is, man. And so, like, do I think that that is the best use of Gunther? No. But if you don't have Gunther doing anything of substantial stuff, putting him in a match with one of the most over guys that he should win, I mean, again, I would have preferred if Gunther just would have won the match at WrestleMania, to be honest with you. But obviously we knew that wasn't going to happen. So now one of my main concerns going forward is what does Gunther do? Because he is not a guy that should be floating around the mid card.
SmackDown.
That's what I think. Yes. Like, he is not a man that should be floating around the mid card. He should be a world champion or fighting for world championships routinely. So what do you do now? You know? But either way, we did have Dominic Mysterio go against Penta for the IC title.
I thought they were changing the title.
I thought, oh, they're going right back to Dom. They're doing it. They're going to go to Penta. Dom's going to hold it for a night. They just did the thing where he won it and that was it. But no, Judgment Day. We saw the return of good old JD McDonough.
Yes, very surprised. I did not expect that.
He returns. He shoves Penta off the top rope, which then helps Dom hit the frog splash, defeating Penta in the middle of the ring to retain the IC championship. And for the first time in a long time, the Judgment Day is whole again, Drew. They are whole again. Well, yeah, but they are whole. They have their belts back. Liv and Raquel, Dom. They got gold throughout. Finn will make his way, but I thought that was pretty good. We then got a hype reel for El Grande Americano, and then we were at our main event segment of Raw. Seth Rollins, Fernando, I'm right there with you, man. We were just talking about it. I loved it. Now I'm a little skeptical if it leads to a match. And I thought having to spend the next 10 minutes watching Pat McAfee almost throw up was a little bit much and overdone. I know they were selling the angle, but you know how you could have sold the angle? By him being unconscious and being taken out on a stretcher or taking out on, I don't need to see him slowly walking and bending over like he's going to puke every fucking 2 seconds for 10 minutes on both sides of a commercial. Bro. I don't need to see it. I saw you get choked out, bro. I know that's what happens when you get choked. I don't need to see it. But anyway, I digress. Seth Rollins comes out. He has Paul Heyman, obviously. CM Punk comes out. So he takes his sweet time. He says he's a visionary. He took the wise man from Roman. He stole CM Punk's best friend, and he's the winner of the main event of WrestleMania. CM Punk comes out. Yeah, we saw that. We talked about that on the reaction show after Mania. We already talked about that, Sandy. But yes, that was very dope. That is his better theme song, This Fire Burns. It is much better. So CM Punk comes out. He wastes no time. He goes right for a fight. Him and Rollins are fighting, putting boots. They're going at it in the corner. Paul Heyman's like off to the side, but it looks like he's ready to like jump in and help whenever he can, like get a shot, like another low blow in on Punk or something. They start going, and then CM Punk gets Rollins down and he does the slow turn. Then he gets Heyman in his sights, and Heyman is like, he goes, "I'll sue you. I'll get a lawyer." He's yelling, "I'll get it out. Don't touch me." But Punk goes right after him. He grabs him, backs him into the corner, but Seth is back up. He gets Punk off of Heyman and he hits the blackout on Punk. And then Paul leans over CM Punk. The credits then, this was weird. They've done this before, but the credits then roll, that show up. And then all of a sudden, this shit went on for like 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
So it had been a while. So the credits
I don't know
show
if
up,
they did that
like too early.
Accident,
yeah, I don't know. Well, they've done it before. Triple H has done it before, but it's usually like he'll do that, and then something happens for 30 seconds, and they'll go off the air. It's like, oh shit, this was like.
Well, they did it with Punk's return.
Yes.
At Survivor Series.
Yeah, and that's how he usually does it, where something big, but like this, I felt like went on for a while afterwards. I was like, was that a mess up? But either way, the credits play, the crowd is chanting for Roman. Heyman says they're going to conclude WrestleMania 41 by propelling the news all the way to WrestleMania 42, where he says there is a new reigning, defending, undisputed number one top star in the entire industry, and that's Seth Rollins. Roman Reigns' music hits. Rollins tosses Punk out of the ring. He's getting ready for Roman. Roman goes down the aisle. Roman hits a Superman punch. He's shaking the ropes. He's calling for his spear. And as he goes, he sets up for the spear. Roman takes a spear himself from a gentleman in a hoodie. He rips the hoodie off. And I told you earlier in the night that this was going to happen. I think we had a Twitter conversation. I was like, I'm expecting Braun Breaker
already that it was going to happen.
I was like, I'm expecting Braun to join tonight. Braun Breaker spears Roman Reigns. Punk gets back in the ring. And at this point, they did it very well because, like, Rollins turns around and Rollins is looking at Braun Breaker. Like, Rollins doesn't know what's going on with Braun Breaker.
Yeah,
and
they did it very well. I agree.
And then Braun runs by him to spear Punk, who's on the back, who's behind Seth. And then Seth starts smiling. Seth turns around and he goes and he puts his arm around Braun Breaker and he starts doing his laugh into the camera like, ha ha, we got you. We got you.
I'm really excited for this.
Very good. Very, very good. Scott, I agree with you. I loved all of it. Yeah, I know a lot of people, Fernando said it. I know a lot of people are like saying that this is going to be like more like the Dangerous Alliance. Like Heyman's going to create his group of guys, like a Dangerous Alliance 2.0. That fine. But yeah, I very much enjoyed this final segment. This wasn't the end of it though, because after that, Roman is on the outside and Braun sees him. And Braun does the super spear where he runs all the way around the ring and he spears Roman through the timekeeper's area there. And then Seth is saying, get him back in here. Get him back in here. So Braun Breaker throws him back in the ring and he hits another blackout on Punk. And then he hits a blackout on Roman. And then Heyman, Rollins, and Breaker stand tall in the ring over a fallen Roman. That's I think stomp, blackout, whatever they call it. I think they still, I don't know,
the curb stomp.
Yeah. I've just always called it. Yeah. So, and that's how the show ends. Actually ends with those three gentlemen standing over a fallen CM Punk and Roman. So we're definitely getting a tag match, right? Roman and Punk versus
probably a Backlash.
Is that at Backlash? Roman and Punk. I would like Becky to be the person who joins.
That would be very good. To have a Paul Heyman girl for the first time.
Yeah, I think Becky, especially with her heel turn earlier in the night, easy peasy, man. Easy peasy for me. Seth,
I thought maybe
Becky, Braun. Trick Williams wouldn't be a bad one either. Like a call up like that wouldn't be bad either. But
before Braun was shown as a new person, I had thought maybe to keep with the Redeemer thing, Rusev as a Paul Heyman guy would have been a good thing. But I think if there's one more male at least that gets introduced, I would say Drew McIntyre.
Yep. Yeah, I think I don't think you want now. Becky would be different because she's a female. I don't think you want anybody in this group to be near Rollins' level. I think Rollins needs to be the clear number one guy in the group. So even though it would be fun if Drew McIntyre was in the group, I think Drew McIntyre is a guy that if he joins the group, he's an equal to Seth. And I think you want this to be that Seth is the guy, right? Because Braun is a future multi-time world champion, Seth Rollins level. And we know he's there, but he's a few like Braun's the guy that's at that he's, you know what I mean? So I don't know if it'll be a guy at the same stature of Rollins. That's why I'm like, oh, Becky would make sense because she's at the same stature of Seth, but she's on the female side, and there's never been a Paul Heyman girl. Or you could do a call up or someone younger. Like I think I don't know if they're gonna stick to Raw, but I think like an Ilya Dragunov, or I think like a Pete Dunne. Like throw Pete Dunne in there. Ooh. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody of that kind of stature.
Some people were saying Austin Theory.
That would be a good one too, I think, because him and Rollins have a history where they were kind of together for a little bit during the pandemic era.
And
Theory
Paul
would
Heyman,
be a good one.
Paul Heyman also was, or not? Well, he like endorsed. Austin
Scott
Theory
said it. I actually think Theory and Waller as a tag team for the group would work. Both of them in there, to be honest with you. Waller might have too big a personality, maybe, but like I think them if they wanted to have a tag, because you have Seth, who's your world champion level, you have Braun, who's your mid card title level, and then if you have a tag team, and then if you have a lady, you have everything taken care of. So at one point, all of them could be champions. You know what I mean? And
ooh,
that's how you do it. Seth is
the world champ. Tag team, Street Profits.
Creeds. Oh, the Street Profits would be good. I'd be okay with that.
Ooh,
I would be okay with that. If the Creeds ever broke away from Gable, I think the Creeds would fit in that group big time.
Ooh, I want the Street Profits. I want the Street Profits.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways you can go with it. I don't think that it's going to end with just Seth and Braun. I think it'll be Seth and Braun by themselves for a little bit. I don't think you're just going to add people every week.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to roll with these two probably through Backlash. Maybe the new member shows up at Backlash to help them beat Punk and Roman. I could see that easily happening.
Oh, yeah, most likely.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they have a tag match, Punk and Roman are going to win, and then the
debuting tag team.
The debut tag team, or even if it is a distraction, that next person shows up. We don't know yet, Sandy. We'll have to figure it out. That's why we watch the shows, brother.
I really would like it to be the Street Profits.
Yeah, that'd be fun. After some of the stuff Heyman was saying, I don't know if he would like that. But who am I? So but that was the jokes he was cutting at the roast. They were very not great. They were very, he's cutting very racial jokes. Racial jokes. Wasn't great. Fraxium would be good. I actually thought that Fraxium was going to answer the New Day. Earlier in the night, I thought Fraxium was going to get the call up. I was
they lost it. They lost it in NXT.
They lost their tag. Yeah, they lost their titles at Stand and Deliver to Hank and Tank. And then when the New Day came out, I was like, this is a perfect opportunity for like Fraxium to just show up and have a really good match with the New Day right now and lose, but then just be on the main roster. I was like, this would be a really good spot. But I don't know. All right, we got to get over to Dynamite. Again, moving forward, guys, we are going to be talking about both shows. Obviously, we spent over 2 hours on WWE, but that's because we needed to talk about WrestleMania as well as Raw. It'll be a lot more concise. We did do the extra hour to give us that buffer because we do like to ramble and go kind of everywhere. That is why we did it, but we're obviously not every week. We're not going to be having to be talking about a pay-per-view plus the shows. So, when AEW has Double or Nothing, guess what? That week, we're going to be talking about Double or Nothing, and then Dynamite, and then Raw. We'll probably go chronologically, really. You could do Double or Nothing, then Raw, then Dynamite, whatever you want to do, but we'll figure that out. But,
I would keep the company.
Yeah, I would keep it together. So, that's why, usually it's going to be more of an even split when we're talking about the shows. But when we're coming off WrestleMania week, we're going to do what we do. I thought this was a fun episode of Dynamite last night, Drew. I thought it was a fun episode.
You know what I will say about this episode of Dynamite? I think it was after the insane road, WrestleMania week, WrestleMania, and then Raw after. I feel like it was a nice palate cleanser.
Yeah.
To
I agree.
Get back into regular wrestling watching.
I agree. And this show started off
Take care, Sandy.
With Master. Bye, Sandy. With Master P. Make them say, hell yeah. Hip hop legend. New Orleans native hip hop legend, Master P. He makes his way to the ring. He introduces the AEW World Trio Champions, the Ops. The Ops come down. Samoa Joe was hilarious, grabbing the mic and say, he was doing the Master P. Make him say, I was like, God, Joe, you're the best. But he says it's good to be in the building tonight. The Ops have come to celebrate. He thanks Master P for welcoming him to the city, all that stuff. Death Riders music plays. And we just see Marina Shafir walking, through the crowd like they normally do. And that grabbing the attention of the gang in the ring, which allows the Death Riders to attack from behind. Moxley, Claudio, Wheeler get in there. They attack the Ops. And then all of them have Master P surrounded. And it's like, oh shit. It's like, Master P's about to get it. And Master P was ready to go. Master P was like, let's go. I'm good.
Oh, he was in a great mood.
Yeah.
He was so awesome last night.
He's like, let's go. I'm ready. You're going to take me out? Take me out, man. But once again, for the second week in a row, Drew, Joe puts Moxley in the Coquina clutch and chokes him out. He chokes Moxley out for the second straight week. Master P is punching Moxley in the stomach a few times, getting his shit in, which was funny. Master P then gets grabbed back on the mic. He says, this is New Orleans. They want all the smoke. There's about to be a problem. And he says, put Moxley to sleep. And then the Elite come out. The Bucks, Okada, they make the save for the Death Riders. Shafir, and then we hear Swerve Strickland. His music hits. Shafir kind of gets Moxley out of the ring. And then we hear Kenny Omega's music hit. Kenny comes out. He has a chair. Well, I know it's Anarchy in the Arena.
So many people.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
Anarchy. Yeah, that's what they're doing. So then there's 5 baby faces. They hold court in the ring. Joe grabs the mic. He says, I like Joe because he grabbed the mic and he acknowledged Swerve. He goes, well, it's nice to see you again and whose house this is. He goes, this is about blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, Moxley, if you want me, you got me. He goes, I'm going to choke you out and I'm going to take back my AEW World Championship.
Very good. I love this opening segment.
Yep. And that's how this segment ends. So clearly, to me, I feel like a Double or Nothing. Because later on in the night, they announced that Moxley is going to fight Samoa Joe for the World Championship, but it's not going to be a Double or Nothing. It's going to be at AEW Dynamite Beach Break, which is happening 2 weeks prior in Chicago. Which tells me that at Double or Nothing, this opening segment, this is going to be Anarchy in the Arena. It is going to be the Death Riders.
Yeah,
and
that's
the Bucks.
become like a Double or Nothing thing. Anarchy in the Arena.
Yes. So it's going to be the Bucks and the Death Riders against the Ops, Swerve, and Kenny Omega. That's where I think this is going. Anarchy in the Arena, 5-on-5. Okada was out there with the Elite, but I don't think Okada would get in that match. Because Okada would make it 6 for the Elite.
Right.
If you went Death, unless they say fuck you, Wheeler, you're not in this match. And they went Claudio, Moxley, the Bucks, and Okada.
Well, could they add another?
Because if Kenny's going to be in the match, you would think Okada's in the match, right? So
yeah.
Then it would be 6-on-5.
Maybe they could just add another babyface.
They could, but who would that babyface be? Because Ospreay and Hangman, I think, will be in the final of the Owen. Ospreay's already there. But I think Hangman wins that match next week. So they're out. Hangman would make sense with his history with the Elite, but he's going to be involved in something. Obviously, Hook coming back would fit. That would make sense. If Hook was back and you did the 4 guys with Hobbs and Hook, you could do that. That would make sense if they went 6-on-6.
Yeah. So it could be Hook.
I think Hook would be the easiest option because I don't think he's really hurt. I think he was filming something or they had a family because Taz was back on the commentary table.
Yeah, I saw that there was like somebody had posted something last week about there being like a family emergency.
Yeah, they had a sitch, so which is fine. But again, the Anarchy in the Arenas have usually been 5-on-5, so that's kind of the mindset that I have. But if they wanted to do the 6, Fernando makes up a good point. He says, or somebody could just take out a member of the Death Riders, which is true. That is true. Yeah, they could take out Wheeler on the way. I don't know. But anyway, if that feels like where we're going here, they're setting up. That could be.
Oh,
wouldn't hate it. Wouldn't hate it. Wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, they could do that.
Another thing that I didn't hate, Drew, was right after this. We have Renee Paquette in the back with the Patriarchy. And Nick Wayne, the newest and youngest Ring of Honor World Television Champion, but not even that, the youngest champion in the history of AEW, Ring of Honor, this whole company, the youngest champion ever.
Awesome.
Nick Wayne. Yep.
And that was a really good match with him and Commander.
Oh, yeah. Renee starts to congratulate Nick on winning the title, but Christian interrupts and he says that he deserves the congratulations, and he takes the title off of Nick's shoulder and puts it on his own. And he says, I'm the one that did all the work of stoking the fire and letting you do what you did this last month. And he goes, and trust me, we're proud of you. We celebrated after, he goes, me and your mom extensively celebrated your championship win, which, what a line. What a line. Real good. And then he berates Nick and he says, you see what happens when you listen to me? And then Nick Wayne claps back and he hits the belt.
Been doing that. I like that.
Yeah. And he hits the belt and he goes, do you see what happens when you stick to the plan? You actually win championships.
Very good.
And then he grabs the title back and Christian kind of, and then he looks at Renee and he just goes, I love my family. And he walks off screen. I liked it. I thought it was good. I like what they're doing with Nick Wayne. I do. I like how Christian is starting to get frazzled.
This leads to that turn soon.
It will. It'll happen by Double or Nothing. And then by All In, we're going to have Edge and Christian against FTR. It's happening. We'll get to FTR in a minute. We then had Mark Briscoe versus Ricochet, Drew. Listen, every time we talk about Mark Briscoe, I tell all you how much I love this man. And this is my own fault. And I know I get on other wrestling fans for thinking this way, but I looked at this match and I went, oh, all right, this is another Mark Briscoe is going to have a great match with Ricochet, but Ricochet is going to win and Mark Briscoe is going to lose. And that's what it is, because that's what Mark Briscoe does. Nope. Mark Briscoe rolled up and upsetted.
That type of
Ricochet.
Scenario happened more than once on this show, by the way.
Yes. Mark Briscoe, again, great match with him and Ricochet, as you would expect. Very good back and forth. The crowd just adores Mark Briscoe, as everybody should. And he just gets the crowd jacked up no matter what he's doing. He gets the crowd amped up. The crowd is always hot for Mark Briscoe matches. Always.
As you should.
Yes. And Fernando, I fully agree with you. I went in there expecting him to lose because he always loses. But when he won, I was shocked, but I was also very happy because I was like, okay, good. Mark Briscoe should win more. But I'm also, and again, we got to talk about after because there was some stuff after. But I was genuinely shocked that Briscoe got the win here, Drew. Genuinely shocked that happened because he just never wins.
Well, but it was for a reason. It wasn't.
Well, we found that out.
Win.
Yeah. Yes. Well, it was a clean win. He rolled him up.
But there was the distraction of Kevin Knight that added to
Yeah.
because I don't think I mean
Well, no, Kevin
the
Knight came out
obvious
after. No,
story
Kevin Knight came out after the match.
that was after the match.
Yeah, because Ricochet tried to attack Briscoe. He hit him with a chair, and then he took out the scissors.
Oh,
like he was going to attack Briscoe after the match.
Oh, I got
so this was a straight up one-on-one match.
Yeah, it was.
And then Briscoe just rolled him up. But the angle that they did after the match was good, and this clearly set up that. Yes. But
and again, set up something else that happened later on.
But again, Mark Briscoe getting the victory, the win was a pleasant surprise, I would say. Yeah, a pleasant surprise. And I think it feeds into Ricochet's character, because Ricochet had the eyes wide, mouth wide open, like, I can't believe I just lost. What the hell?
As you wax poetic about Mark Briscoe, I waxed poetic about Ricochet, because
he was excellent.
He's excellent. This is the greatest Ricochet I have ever watched.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. So Ricochet does
he didn't even stifle his wrestling style for this. He is still that Ricochet.
Oh yeah.
But with an even better character now.
Mm-hmm. He's been fantastic. After the match, he did attack Briscoe with the steel chair, and then he goes and he pulls out the golden scissors. But Kevin Knight makes the save. He ducks the scissors from Ricochet. He steps on the scissors to get them away from Ricochet. Ricochet runs away. And then Kevin Knight goes in the ring and checks on Briscoe, and then they kind of celebrate, and he raises Briscoe's hand. Sign me up. We're going to talk about Kevin Knight later, too. Sign me up for a Kevin Knight and Ricochet program. Sign me up, man.
You could sign me up for that, too.
Holy crap. All right. Then it was time. Right before they go to commercial, they show the Rock and Roll Express in the crowd, Drew. It's their 40th year.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't
foreshadowing.
A sign of things to come.
Yeah. It's their 40th year in the biz, 40th anniversary. No, not in the biz, but it's like their 40th anniversary of something. And they show them in the crowd.
Wrestling.
Was that what it was? It was wrestling? I
think so. Yeah.
I thought they had been wrestling longer than that. But yeah. Back from commercial, Tony Schiavone's in the ring. He introduces FTR. However, before we get to FTR, we have Stokely Hathaway.
This, I was like,
it felt odd at first, but then I was like, I was like, as long as he's on television, dude, this guy is too good to not be doing things. Stokely Hathaway.
He's been gone for like a year.
It's been a long time. And the MJF stuff was the last stuff he did, right?
No, he was involved with Private Party for a little while.
Was he? I don't even remember that. I remember the MJF stuff with the Firm. And I don't remember much after that.
I remember he was trying to recruit Private Party.
To the Firm? Or just to be like his manager?
I think it was just to manage.
Okay. Yeah, see, I don't even remember that. That's how long I feel like he's been gone. Scott, not only...
Oh, no. Yes, it was because... No, he was with Chris Statlander, remember?
Oh, I do remember that. I do remember Statlander.
Yeah, he was with Chris Statlander, and then once they suddenly dropped that, then he was like, oh, let me go and see about Private Party. So he tried to get Private Party. And that was like... That had to be like early... No, it had to be like mid last year. Maybe like around July, August, maybe. It might have been around that time.
So he comes out of nowhere, and he says there's been a change of plans. He says FTR are living legends, top guys.
I do think that there's also another step above. When we finish the segment, there's something I want to address about this.
Yep. And he introduces them. He introduces himself. He says, let me get the elephant in the room out of the way. He says FTR was suspended and fined for accidentally hitting someone and touching Tony Schiavone. And that's funny to me, or he used some word. He goes, because last time I checked, Hangman Page committed arson. He goes, Ricochet comes to work every week and shanks people with scissors. And shall I list all of Jon Moxley's crimes? He goes, acts of terrorism, kidnapping, extortion, Acts of terrorism.
That made me laugh so hard.
Yeah. Acts of terrorism, kidnapping, extortion, and yet he walks around AEW unpunished. And that, to me, is unjust. And that's why I'm here. He's not wrong.
He's right.
Not wrong. He's not wrong. And he goes, and that's what I'm here for. And getting their suspension expunged from the record. He goes, I am officially their agent as of right now, and I direct Tony Schiavone to do his job. And then FTR starts talking. Wheeler goes first. He says, thanks for doing a great job. Says last week, Daniel Garcia gave us no choice, and he made his own decision. He said 2.0 got in front of them and came at them, and they wanted to fight. And where we come from, if you want to fight, you got to be ready to fight. He says, out of respect for Daniel, we stopped when he asked us to stop. And he goes, and now he's going to turn his back on us? He goes, every other veteran has left him high and dry. And they put everybody first besides, him. He says, we've put everybody first and we've got nothing but disrespect. He goes, from now on, it's FTR first from now on.
Also, they weren't wrong about that either.
Not at all.
That's what's been happening lately.
Yep. And then Dax grabs the mic and he asks the crowd, he goes, what's with the hostility, guys? He goes, what the hell? And then he goes, there's a couple living legends in the house. And he gives a call out to the Rock and Roll Express and he calls for them to get in the ring. And once that happened, we all knew. We all knew what was coming. Don't act like you didn't.
Hi, Maria.
Hi, Maria. What's going on? Once he called them into the ring, we all knew. We all knew what was going on. They get in the ring. They shake hands. Dax goes, he goes, we only got a little bit of time. He goes, you're one of the greatest tag teams of all time. I want to know, what do you think your greatest match ever was? And he puts the mic in Ricky Morton's face. And the second that Ricky starts to talk, he goes, well, I think it was, against the Midnight Express in Philly. And he goes, and if we're being honest, no shade. If we're being honest, the Midnights were a little better than you guys. But we're here to talk about you. He goes, 40-year career, blah, blah. And then he goes, how old are you guys now? And then he does the thing again. And Ricky's the second, you got to be what, 108, 109? Something like that. That'd be my guess. Something like that. He goes, you know what that says? That means in the 80s, they were running hard. And he does this. Dax does this thing. They were running hard in the 80s. Which made me laugh. And then he does the thing again where he asks him, he goes, what was your favorite experience from the 80s? And he does it, and he's going to pull it away, but Ricky Morton grabs the mic, and he goes, all right, enough of that. He goes, we're not going to let you embarrass us in front of the whole wrestling world. And then Stokely kind of steps in and says that they have a brand new shirt he thinks they'll enjoy. It has the FTR logo on it, and it says, Living Legend Killers written underneath it. I got to talk about that for a second. That seems a little close to the vest to me. That's probably the wrong phrase. But that seems a little too close to.
If this
I got a problem with that, I think.
If this was an FTRKO type of.
The Living Legend kill. That's a little too. I don't. Whatever, dude. But yeah. So anyway, FTR attacks the Rock and Roll Express, and they lay Ricky Morton out with a spike.
Although, hold on. Yes, obviously the first connotation is RKO Legend Killer, but Edge has the legend.
That's fair.
Thing too.
But they didn't spell it with the D.
Right.
Again, I don't have a problem with it. Whatever. I just feel like you just added the
same thing.
You just added one word to somebody else's phrase that he's had for 20 years. I don't, and the other company, mind you. I just don't think that's, you could have used a different, I don't know. Legend, I don't know, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. We'll see. I wouldn't be shocked if they get a letter. But it is what it is. But the more important thing is they give Ricky Morton a gigantic spike pile driver.
Yes, they do.
It was a good one. And they lay him out, and then the Paragon make their way down, and they run off FTR and the gang, and they help out the Rock and Roll Express and make sure they're
now
okay.
The Paragon, 3 guys, FTR. So
who's the third?
Who's the third man? The very famous wrestling phrase.
Yeah. David, you can already go see those matches. They were in WWE together and they fought multiple times. So you can definitely go see. They have one of the best tag matches of all time. That 2 out of 3 falls match that happened in, I want to say Toronto, NXT Toronto or something like that. That was a very good one. It was a very good one. But yeah, so FTR continuing to attack. You know, they went after Schiavone. You know, they attacked Edge. They went after Schiavone. Now they're going after legends in the Rock and Roll Express. So they're doing that heel thing like that.
This was a great segment.
I thought it was too.
I love too now when their music is still their same FTR music, but the graphic, you know, that they're all very colorful and you know, there's like the lasers and whatever they have that's on their shirt usually. It kind of like it started out that way and then it like glitched into this black and white thing. And also the shirt was just like a standard like black gray type of thing instead of all those bright colors that they've been using lately. So I like when they do stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a good little segment. I'm digging so far. We're still very new in the I'm digging this version of FTR Savages. I like it. And then we had the first Young Bucks match since October, Drew.
And it was
incredible.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, very good. It was I'm going to cough.
I love Kevin Knight and Speedball as a tag team.
They were fun. This is a very fun match. Maria, I fully agree. That's one of the best tag team feuds of all time. This match was very, very good. Kevin Knight and Speedball looked like they had been teaming for a decade. Some of their tag, it was very it was very innovative. Like they were doing good stuff. And it was a lot of fun. The Young Bucks looked like, I mean, I know they had some matches since they left AEW, but the Young Bucks looked like they had never missed a beat. There was this one sequence where Speedball had Nick Jackson in a chicken position on his legs, like on his shoulders. And Kevin Knight was going to give a drop kick to Nick Jackson while Speedball had Nick Jackson on his shoulders. And as he jumped to do the drop kick, Matt Jackson caught Kevin Knight. So he was then in the chicken position, and then they just started punching each other on the top of the incredible. That was one of the cooler things I had seen in a while. That was amazing. It was like mid drop kick. He just caught him and was like, nope, we're up here now. And then they started doing like the chicken fight, which was cool.
Yes.
The Meltzer driver from the barricade to the floor that the Bucks hit. Damn, bro.
Yeah, where he ran across the barricade and then it was.
Yes.
This Young Bucks match has got to be the best Young Bucks have looked in a year. It feels like they felt like they were there, motivated, and wanted to put on a phenomenal match. Like that was beautiful. I'm so happy that we're getting consistency from Speedball and Kevin Knight. They're on TV every week. They're in matches every week. It's really showing that they are the guys to look out for in the company right now. And they're brand new signings. And they're not the only ones, because we're going to be talking about the guy who got the pinfall in that match that I said earlier. It was like, oh, well, it looks like, Mark Briscoe is the guy to take the pins. That wasn't the case this week, and it wasn't the case this week for Josh Alexander as well. So we'll get, but your boy Ricochet
part of the reason why Fernando, I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it. But it feels like they're going in a slightly different direction, though, because at the end of this match, the Bucks they have Kevin Knight, and they go for a BTE trigger. But he reverses it. He does like a double backflip kick into a rolling thunder into a double DDT on the Bucks, which was like a cool little move by Kevin Knight.
Yeah.
And then he goes to springboard, but Ricochet gets involved. And then the Bucks catch him. And then they hit the BTE trigger. And the Young Bucks pin Kevin Knight to win this match. I'm going to tell you, Drew, I had heard about the fella. I heard it was a great signing, but I had not watched a lot of Kevin Knight. But man.
Same.
Man.
I am a huge
This guy
fan
has
of this
impressed me a lot. Holy shit.
He
has been excellent.
His athleticism and his ability to just effortlessly transition into any wrestling move is incredible. Yeah. Absolutely incredible. And I'm so happy that he's here.
Yeah. So that was great. We then have another thing I liked. Toni Storm backstage with Renee. She's talking about how she's going to a film festival over the week. She's going to see Empire Strikes Back. And she's doing like a Turner Classic Movie Film Festival. She said she's a lover and she's a fighter. So she's not going to spend the entire weekend.
A lot of things.
She says she's not going to spend the entire weekend cucking around. So attention slop tarts was one of the words she used. She's going to have an eliminator on Collision for any bitch willing to try and go tit for tit with timeless Toni Storm. And Queen Aminata showed up. I love Queen Aminata. I love Queen Aminata. And she answers her challenge. So on Collision this week, we are going to get Queen Aminata and Toni Storm in an eliminator match, which is fun. I very much
I don't want to mispronounce this, but I'm going to say hello, Rajwanti. I hope I said that right.
There we go. Yeah. So again, I'm Queen Aminata is a lady that needs to be used more. It's not the first time I've said this on this show. She's fantastic. Like, she's very good. This match on Saturday, they're going to beat the shit out of it. That's two physical, hard-hitting ladies. That match is going to be brutal, and I'm looking forward to it a lot.
Collision, honestly, we're not really going to get into it because we've already had so much to talk about, but Collision the last 3 weeks has been really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
It's been very good.
They got their groove back.
Yep. And then we go to the Hurt Syndicate. They make their entrance, the crowd singing the song. MVP, he says, we have an official announcement. He goes, we are the Hurt Syndicate. We hurt people. He goes, as a matter of fact, we're so good at hurting people that everybody that we've beaten these last few months, they're nowhere to be seen. They're gone. Ghosts. Haven't even come back yet.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. But it's actually true. Every tag team that they've faced since they won from Private Party.
Haven't seen them. And then he puts over Gates of Agony a little bit. He says they stepped up. They said they like to be heard. He goes, you won't be seeing them in the near future either. He says this time right now, I'm going to hand the mic over to Bobby Lashley because he has a few things to say. And right as Lashley is about to start talking, the Tron, we hear a noise on the Tron, and we see a Corvette, a very nice Corvette, roll into frame, and it is MJF. He gives the keys to the valet, and then he gives them a tippy. You remember what tippies are? He gave him a tippy, and then MJF makes his way to the ring.
I remember those.
Yeah, Bobby Lashley is not thrilled. Max says, hey, I know you guys had a good time last week. He goes, if you want to have a good time for the rest of your lives, all I need is 3 thumbs up. He goes, Montel, and then
MJF is the only way that they're going to get women in their lives. Only MJF.
So MVP says, all right, we're going to do this one more time. He goes, you know where I stand. I'm giving a thumbs up. Shelton Benjamin puts his thumb out to the side, and then he goes up. But and MJF is pumped, and he goes to hug Shelton like he's pumped, like he won Shelton over. And Shelton goes, "No, I just need to make this real clear to you." And Shelton used this phrase. This is not how I speak of women. But Shelton's phrase was, "You didn't get this thumbs up for because of a bunch of broads and a watch." He goes, "The only reason you got this thumbs up is because of this guy right here, MVP." So Shelton says, "I'm giving you the thumbs up because MVP's my guy. And if MVP's giving you the thumbs up, I'm giving you the thumbs up." So, and then Max goes, "I love MVP. We all love MVP." He goes, "You know who we also love? Bob."
Well, he's doing the thing where he doesn't say MVP, he says Montel.
Montel, yes.
He just says Montel, Shelton, and Bob.
And Bob.
Not Bobby. Bob.
No. So Lashley then sticks his thumb out with the sideways thumb. And before he can do anything, Max is like, "Whoa." He's like, and he gives one last pitch. He goes, "If I'm in the Hurt Syndicate, and I actually, this was the part of Max's promo that I liked the most, where he goes, "If I'm in the Hurt Syndicate, we'll get all the money and the power. And Lashley, you bring a lot to the table, but there are things that I bring that you don't." And, it would have been very easy for MJF to just go right back to the dickhead, lowbrow MJF, but he actually went into he made sense here, where he was like, "I've been here since the beginning. I know this place inside and out better than everybody." He goes, "I know how to cut corners better than anybody."
He made a very convincing case for himself.
Yep. And he says, "I know how to win by any means necessary better than anybody." And he goes, "And if you let me in the Hurt Syndicate, we won't just run AEW. We will run all of the pro wrestling business." And then he goes, "And I know we didn't get off to the best start, and I know I've been a little prickly towards you." He goes, "So I also have to say, Bob, I'm so..." And it takes him 2 or 3 times. It's very hard for Max.
Yes. He's only said it like one other time before.
Yes. But MJF apologizes to Bobby Lashley. Bobby, and then, so he apologizes, and then Bobby does this again, and MJF freaking out again because he doesn't want the thumbs down, goes, "What?" He goes, "You like that sports car? Did you like that car I came in?" And Bobby's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "That's yours, man. That's yours. You let me in, that's yours." And Bobby goes, "Give me the keys." And MJF's like, "They're out back. You want to take a walk? They're out back." And he goes, "Yep." So they go to the back. And commentary
was there now, because I was doing a watch along with the round table at this point, and we all were kind of like, we had this thought of like, is MJF doing this to lure them into FTR attacking them?
Well, we talked about this last week a little bit, or maybe a couple weeks ago when this first started, because they've not recently, but they've referenced the Pinnacle, not the group, but they've said the phrase,
yes,
the Pinnacle. And I know you and I at least had a discussion where we were like, does this eventually lead to MJF costing the Hurt Syndicate those tag titles, potentially to an FTR?
Yeah. So the thing I wanted to say about the Stokely Hathaway part, I can kind of see a thing happening here where maybe, and obviously not all the members of the Pinnacle and the Firm, remember the Firm was, well, hi everybody, this is we were firmly AEW in the beginning, which was the name born from the Firm, which was Stokely Hathaway, Big Bill, Ethan Page was in that, Lee Moriarty was in that, and the Guns were in that. And I started thinking, could there be a morphing of both the Firm and the Pinnacle happening here, where you've got some people from the Firm, an MJF group, and some people from the Pinnacle, an MJF group, to form one big super group of, because remember, one of the tag teams that just recently faced, it wasn't the most recent match that the Hurt Syndicate had, but one of those tag teams was the Guns. They haven't been on TV since. There's a tie-in with Stokely Hathaway. There's a tie-in with FTR. So maybe we could be getting this big group of former MJF stablemates. And I think it's something that they could do, because the Death Riders isn't going on forever. This is probably going to be the last year of that. Especially if what hopefully happens at All In happens.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that would then mean that there needs to be a new big bad group in the company, and that would be the MJF revitalization of the Firm and the Pinnacle.
It's possible. That would be nice. I mean, I don't always think MJF needs a group, but he is the type of guy that, like, if he can riff off people, that's where he's at his best.
Yeah.
You know, like, I feel like he's really good when it comes to, like, ripping off people, you know? And, but so they go out back. Bobby's like, ooh, he's taking a look at the car. He's like, oh, can I sit in it? Let me sit in it, see how it feels. And, you know, he's doing this thing. And MJF's like, yeah, you know, yeah. And he just keeps on. He turns the car on. Oh, hear that baby purr, kind of, you know, whatever. And MJF's like, yeah, thumbs up, buddy. Like, are you going to give me the thumbs up here? You going to give me the thumbs up? So MJF's like, it's all yours. It's all yours, Bob. Can you give me the thumbs up? And Bobby sticks his hand out the window and he does the thumbs down.
And then speeds off.
And MJF is freaking out, losing his mind. And then the camera goes back and Montel puts his arm around him and he says, hey, what did I tell you? Give the people what they want. And then this goes right into the next thing, because the next thing on the other side of the commercial break is Renee Paquette is backstage with Shocker of the Cinch, an angry Hangman Adam Page, pacing and doing his normal Hangman stuff. And he says, the minute I see Kyle Fletcher, I'm going to kick his ass. It's on sight. The minute I see him, I'm kicking his ass. And then MJF rolls up. They trade barbs back and forth. MJF says, the last time I checked, we're 1-1 together. We're 1-1. He goes, next time I'm going to send Seabiscuit to the glue factory. And I thought it was if you watch this, after he says that line, Hangman's looking right at MJF. And after he says that line, Hangman doesn't like move his facial positioning, but he just looks at the camera. Like after he said the glue line, he just went, and he just looks at the camera. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but I fucking started dying laughing. Like he just looked at, like, Hangman just.
I gotta go back and see that.
Oh, it's fucking hilarious. And he goes, so he goes, I'm going to send Seabiscuit back to the glue factory. And he goes, and if you manage to get to the finals, you're going to do what you do best. And that's choke. And Max walks away and Hangman goes, yeah, I got something for you to choke on, dumbass. And then Renee's like, oh, come on. And starts like, come on. And Hangman walks off. That was that. So very quick, but very good with MJF and Hangman.
Yes.
Yes. Very much looking forward to that third rubber match whenever they get to it. We then, you know, I feel like there were at least two of them, but I feel like this was the theme of the night. Another tag match and another damn good one. Brody King, Will Ospreay teaming up. What an unlikely team, but the offense that they used together was fucking amazing in this match. They had some like combined offense, these two guys. I was like, have you guys done this before? What the hell? It's like a put together tag team. You have better fucking tag team offense than half the tag teams on the roster. Anyway, And they went up against the Don Callis family, Josh Alexander and Konosuke Takeshita. And oddly enough, Kyle Fletcher was not at ringside for this match. Lance Archer was. Lance Archer was the guy who helped them. I thought that was a nice little change of pace. Obviously, what happens after, duh. But like Lance Archer being the guy out there was a little bit different. He's usually not out there for the Callis stuff. So, good match, man. Good match, as you would expect. Dude, you know, Josh Alexander is one of the best wrestlers in the world. I know he only just got there a week ago, but Josh Alexander is one of the best wrestlers in the world.
Yeah, and that match with Hangman was really good.
Sure was.
Really good.
And then you throw him in the Callis family, where he's surrounded by Takeshita, who's just, I mean,
a god.
Yeah. And then Will Ospreay, who is probably, I mean, Will Ospreay is one of the best wrestlers to ever do it already, like of all time already. And then Brody King is a monster of a man. Can I tell you what pissed me off, Drew? And you're going to know. Brody King taking another fucking pin.
Yeah.
The fuck, man. The fuck, man. Anyway, I'm just going to leave it at that. You all know how I feel.
I'm sorry.
But what the hell? What the hell? But this was a great tag match. A lot of really cool tag team offense from Brody King and Ospreay. They had a sequence in the match where it was just Ospreay and Takeshita again for a little bit, kind of reliving the classic they had last week, that kind of one-on-one battle with them, which was wonderful. Josh Alex, everybody was good in this match. Everybody was good in this match. And Josh Alexander, who I think was the right guy to get the pinfall, Brody King just takes how I feel about Mark Briscoe, even though Mark Briscoe snuck one out last night. He just takes too many L's, dude. He just takes way too many L's. Post-match, though, the heels are beating up Brody and Will Ospreay. I'm sorry, no, the heels are beating up Brody King. Will Ospreay makes the save, but he gets overwhelmed by the numbers. Archer's in there now. They lay Will out, and then Kyle Fletcher makes his entrance. He's surveying. He's getting down to the ring. He's checking everything out. And then Hangman Adam Page makes his entrance because, you know, he just said earlier, on site with Kyle Fletcher. However, Hangman gets attacked on the way to the ring by Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero, who we saw in Collision last week, align themselves with the Callis family. And Rocky Romero had a suit on, looking snazzy.
Trent's mom's Sue must be very pissed off at her.
You know, I'll talk to her. We talk to her. We see her every night on Beard. So I'll see what's up. I'll see what's up. But I dug it. I'm kind of digging this new iteration of the Callis family.
There's a lot of members.
There's a lot. You're talking Kyle Fletcher, Takeshita, Lance Archer, Trent Beretta, Rocky Romero, Josh Alexander. And Brian Cage, but he's out. He's injured right now, Brian Cage. But
did you say Kyle Fletcher?
I did. That was the first one. So Fletcher is to me like, yeah. But like, so we have a big Don Callis family right now. But I like the group of guys. I like Trent and Rocky Romero joining. I like that. I like Josh Alexander. I like the group. I like the group. You got Lance Archer, who's your big muscle guy. You got Trent. You got Rocky. I think Rocky's going to.
He just got there. So
yeah, you got to let it. You
just want to see what it looks like for a month.
Yeah. So I think Rocky Romero is kind of like a secondary voice in the group to talk shit. Especially I think Rocky Romero is going to really be managing Trent for the most part. That's the vibe I get, is that they're either going to be a tag team or Rocky's going to be kind of like the manager for Trent, even though he's in the Callis family. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you can say something doesn't fit if you haven't seen it try to fit yet. So I think that's a little premature. But it is what it is. And then we got ourselves a main event, Drew. The ladies main evented Dynamite last night, and it was a good one. It was the Owen Hart semifinal to see who would be going on to Double or Nothing to face Mercedes Moné. It was Jamie Hayter and Chris Statlander. Oh, good stuff here, Drew. Good stuff here, Drew.
And I think it was the right winner.
Yeah, and I want to talk about it because I am not so sure that everything that everybody thought was going to happen when these brackets first came out is
I
going to happen.
agree.
So
I agree.
I do want to talk about that a little bit, but talk to me a little bit about this match. It was good to see the ladies main eventing again on Dynamite. We've seen that a few times recently. I would like that to happen, continually to happen, when it is deserving. I wish it wasn't the only women's match on the show. With that being said, the main event spot is a good spot, especially when they had the couple lady segments, but especially when it's a big stakes match like this. This was the main event. It should have been the main event. And I thought Statlander and Hayter lived up to the billing. I thought it was a really good match.
Yes, it was a very good match. They have great chemistry together.
I feel like Statlander, I feel like both these ladies, but Statlander has a good match with everybody, I feel like. You know what I mean? True. She doesn't really have bad matches. Neither does Hayter really. But yeah, these two, this is just two of the best they have. Truly, two of the best they have.
Yeah. And Jamie, I have thought Jamie Hayter was going to be the right person to go to the end. And a lot of people are like, oh, Mercedes doesn't lose. Mercedes doesn't lose. This match at Double or Nothing between Mercedes and Jamie Hayter, this is the perfect match for Mercedes to lose.
Yep.
And I think it's going to happen.
I do too. Here's the thing. I think it's a win-win, no matter what way you go. With whoever wins that match at Double or Nothing, I think it's a win-win. Because here's the thing, right? If Mercedes wins and you have Toni Storm and Mercedes at All In, that to me is the bigger match. That's the bigger match. However, Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm is easily the best story they have. Yeah. So it really depends on what you're trying to do here. Because personally, I think now, with what we saw last week with Mercedes and Athena, and the way that match ended with the roll-up victory, kind of foreshadowing that this was not the end, and now we know that we're getting Hayter and not Stat in Mercedes 3. The story, no. But I also think a big money match, Fernando, is Athena versus Mercedes for the TBS title at All In. I think that's a big money match. And I also think Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm is a big money match. Jamie Hayter's last match before she was out for over a year was a loss to Toni Storm at All In. At All In. The first one to lose the title. Jamie Hayter made her return to the company after being out for a year at All In.
Pre-show, but All In nonetheless.
And the Toni Storm that beat Jamie Hayter was not Timeless Toni Storm. That was the Toni Storm that dissolved into Timeless Toni Storm. So the better story. Hi, Ophelia. Wonderful to see you. I hope you're well today.
Hi.
The better story for Toni Storm is Jamie Hayter by leaps and bounds over Mercedes. I agree with you, Fernando. The bigger match is Mercedes and Timeless Toni Storm. But at All In, at this specific event, the match that makes the better sense and the match that will actually have a story behind it is if Jamie Hayter upsets. I would consider it an upset. Mercedes has to be the big favorite. Upsets Mercedes and goes to the final. And what you get out of doing that is instead of having one big money match, you now have two.
At the same show.
Mercedes at the same show in Athena's home state in Texas. So now you turn one big money match that you can still have at a pay-per-view down the line.
Oh,
Mercedes and Timeless Toni Storm aren't going anywhere. You can still have that match down the line, but you've then now turned one potential big, huge money match into two very big women's matches on your biggest show of the year.
Exactly.
And now you have the TBS title.
I've seen this for a couple weeks now.
Yeah.
You can clearly see they're setting up Athena and Mercedes for All In, and they're setting up Jamie Hayter and Timeless Tony Storm.
Yep.
And it makes perfect sense.
It absolutely does. And
so
to me, it does.
Do it.
And trust me, I was one of everybody. I feel like everybody, when they released those brackets, everybody at the beginning was like, oh, well, Mercedes. It was almost like it was a foregone conclusion that Mercedes was winning. And now that we're here, I have completely swung. And said, you know what? I don't know if Athena is going to end up costing Mercedes, maybe. Maybe Athena out of pure jealousy or rage or because she lost that. I don't know. Or maybe Hayter just fucking beats Mercedes straight up. It's not for a title. It's not a title match. It's for a chance to go fight for a title. But it's not a title match. It's not like Mercedes will lose one of her belts.
And that's why I said this would be the perfect time.
Yeah. At some point, she's going to have to take her first L. At some point. Like, she's going to have to take that first big L in a while. Like, does she even know? Is she still undefeated? Has she lost a match in AEW? She's had to. Who? No? Mercedes? Is she undefeated?
No, she hasn't.
Yeah. So at some point, she has to lose.
Not a singles match, at least.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if maybe she lost like a tag match. Oh, no, she did. Yeah, she lost. They lost her and
Harley Cameron. Harley
Cameron lost their match.
Yes, that's right. So at some point, she's going to have to take a loss. And in a match like this, where there are none of her titles are on the line, I think it perfectly makes sense. And I agree with Scott. I feel like Mercedes and Athena, like 2, All In is where it should happen. It's the biggest event of the year. It's in Athena's home state. The first match was in Boston, Mercedes' hometown. The second match is in Texas, Athena's hometown or home state. It just, now you have 2 good stories with your 2 women's matches. Not just, there's not really a story here. They're just 2 real, it's just a big match. Now you can get to a way where you have 2 big matches that both have juicy, good stories behind it. And I think that is what they need more than just trying to pop off with like don't get me wrong. If Mercedes and Tony Storm would be incredible. It will be incredible whenever we get it. I feel like Jamie Hayter's going to do this, man. I feel like Jamie Hayter's going to do this.
I really hope that they do this because it makes all the sense in the world.
Am I going to be shocked if Mercedes wins? Absolutely not. There will be 0% of me that is shocked if Mercedes wins. And again, I think it's a win-win. I don't think we're going to get to a bad thing no matter what they do. I just think you have an opportunity to get 2 good things out of one if you go a certain way. Yeah. And I think that's the route you want to go. But the route that we went today was long. So listen.
The reason why we have an extra hour.
Correct. And we knew, at least for this one with the Mania talk, that we were going to be going Broadway ×3. So this is going to be our new home. It's not 100% confident yet, but I'm about 90% confident Thursdays at 9 will be the home moving forward. I feel good about it.
We know that that's definitely the home next.
Well, next week it is. I'm pretty aware. I will know 100% by tomorrow, but I've had discussions and it looks like Thursdays are not going to change for me.
Oh, so very good.
Yes. So again, but this is where we're going to be talking about both. Yeah. And, the format of the show might change a smidge, like the way we talk about the shows, because we're talking about both and things like that. But either way, I think we're going to pick what we think is kind of what was the best show, the biggest show of the week. And we'll start with that one, or we can just alternate. One week we start WWE, the next AEW, the next, whatever we want to do. That's how we're going to roll. And we're going to talk about it. So Beards is happening tonight. I was going to plug that at the end, but yes, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We have our pal Wells Mania joining us. He was in Las Vegas last weekend for WrestleMania. And he was not doing media. He was there as a fan. He bought tickets as a fan, so he wasn't doing media last week. Also, though, which is a cool story and why we want to have him on, not only was he at WrestleMania last week, he got married in Las Vegas WrestleMania weekend last week.
Oh.
With his longtime fiance, who's also a massive wrestling fan.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
they turned the weekend into like they got married and then they went to WrestleMania, and it was kind of like, I think it's very sweet. And he's a good friend of the show. He's been on a few times, so we're going to have him on. We're going to obviously let him talk about that experience and the personal side of things and how special that was. And then obviously we're going to be beating down the doors of Mania and the Raw after. Tonight is also the NFL draft, and my terrible New England Patriots have the 4th pick. And of all the picks you don't want in the draft, it's the fucking 4th pick you don't want because there's 3 good guys. Son of a bitch. Anyway, I'm going to be a lot more angrier on Beards.
Boston anger will be coming out.
I wasn't in Vegas, Fernando. I wish I was, but I wasn't in Vegas, sadly. Sadly, it is what it is. Your Bears are going to be all right. But anyway, that is happening. So we'll be doing some draft updates throughout the show, but we're breaking down Mania. We're breaking down the Raw after Mania. We're breaking down all that stuff tonight with Wells Mania. So that'll be my plug for Beards, so I don't have to do it at the end. But yes, 8 p.m. Eastern time every Thursday, flagship here between Two Beards right here on YouTube, Twitch, and all that fun stuff. Drew, why don't you let the people know where they can find you? Be quiet, Scott.
Sports.
Nobody gives a shit about them. They might trade to number 4 if a certain player drops there, though. I heard they might be interested in trading with my Patriots for AJ Brown. So I'll get to have that fucking narcissist reading books on my fucking sideline. But anyway, continue. I like him, though. I very much like him.
You can find me at Drew Nicholas on Twitter and Blue Sky, the Roundtable Pro Wrestling Podcast. Follow Firmly LW on Twitter as well. The Firmly Inc., which is incorporated for those that don't know, because we're incorporating all the companies, merging into one.
I will have you know
show now.
That Drew and I spent like over a week deciding what the fuck we were going to name this show.
We did. Even with Pluggo, we were in the chat with Pluggo.
We were like, what do you got? Like,
coming up with names.
Yeah.
And Firmly Inc. We talk. We are in the wrestling talk business. That's my tagline for it, at least.
Yeah.
And yes, and if you notice, I did want to mention this too. There's a number after Firmly Inc. It says 110. And that is a guesstimate. It's mostly correct, but give or take, maybe it could be like 107, or it could be like 113.
I feel like we should have started at 1.
Well, so
personally,
JPJ thought that we should start at 1.
Yeah,
but that would get rid of over 2 years of shows that we've been doing already on Thursday.
Yeah.
And we started Firmly AEW October 6th, I believe, of 2022.
It's pretty good.
So
almost 3 years. Almost 3 years at the end of the year. It's pretty well.
Our first show is actually in the playlist on YouTube in the Firmly section.
Fair enough.
And so that's how I know what the date is. I wouldn't be able to remember that. But October 6th, 2022, that was the first Firmly show. I did 52 weeks times 2 plus 6 months, which was, I said, how many weeks has it been since that date?
Well, 52 times 2 is 104.
Right.
So plus 6 weeks.
Oh, plus 6 weeks. I'm sorry. Yeah.
As I say, 6 months, we would be way past 110.
Yes. So, but then I also said, oh, no, it was 6 months.
So we should have way more than 110 then.
But we took off 2 months.
Oh, that's right. That is true.
Last year.
Yeah.
And then there's been a couple of episodes
where things have come up.
So I didn't go, oh yeah, we've been doing, 130 shows or however much it was going to actually be, because I don't inflate numbers like WWE. So I am choosing 110 as this.
We don't inflate numbers here. We just make them up.
I put research into it. I didn't just come up with the number.
You literally started talking about that number going, it's a guess.
It's an educated guess.
Oh, man.
Next week, Firmly Inc. 111.
Oh, that's funny. That makes me laugh. Scott, they're taking Travis Hunter at 2. All right, we'll save the draft talk for tonight. But they're taking Travis Hunter at 2. In my opinion, anybody would be – the Titans passing on Abdul Carter at 1 is crazy.
Saving the draft talk?
Yeah, we are. I just had to address the question. I had to address the comment. And yes, we have Ophelia and I have our pal is actually at the draft. So they do this thing now where the draft travels. So it's so like tonight, I don't know why the fuck you would go to Green Bay, Wisconsin. What the fuck is in Green Bay, Wisconsin? You're going to be just fucking eating cheese?
Shit.
Like, you know what's in Green Bay, Wisconsin? The Packers, and that's it. I don't know why they're going there. Who wants to go to Green Bay? But anyway, I digress.
Also a terrible wrestling crowd.
Yeah, because it's Green Bay. Do you know who owns the Green Bay Packers? The town of Green Bay.
Oh, really?
Yes, they are the only team in the league that doesn't have an owner. That's the town of Green Bay owns Green Bay.
Interesting.
They own the Green Bay Packers.
Who makes
it's like they have like a president of football operations or a GM, but like if they have like legit decisions to make, the town votes.
The town votes?
Yes.
For the football
I don't know
team?
if they still did. I don't know if they still did that, but when I was a kid or a teenager, that's how they fucking like when they had to make like certain decisions, they would send surveys out to the fucking people of Green Bay.
Oh my God.
Now how much they like and shareholders, obviously shareholders do. But like, yeah.
I kind of like that though.
You know? I don't know how in today's world with all these rich asshole billionaires, somebody hasn't been like, we're not allowing this anymore. I'm buying the Green Bay Packers. But I think what would happen is, see, I think the reason why they did it is because if a rich billionaire came in and bought the Green Bay Packers, he would move the Green Bay Packers. Because why the fuck do you want a team in Green Bay, Wisconsin? He would move them to Milwaukee, or he would move them. You know, that's the vibe that I get.
Milwaukee team?
No, not in football. No. I mean, Green Bay is Wisconsin. I don't know how far Green Bay is from Milwaukee. I just would think they would move to the bigger city and play in the big city of the state as opposed to Green Bay. But the Green Bay Packers are the oldest, like they're one of the oldest, most historic franchises in the history of the league. You can't really get rid of the Green Bay Packers. If they did, that would be like if somebody bought the New York Yankees and moved the New York Yankees. And I say that as a team that as a guy who hates them, but that's what it would be like. Somebody bought the Boston Celtics and like fucking moved them to Missouri. What? Excuse me? What are you talking about? You know, that's what it would be like. So I think it is. I agree with the feel. I think it's a good community investment to share. I just think it's I feel like if they were to sell the team to like an actual individual, he would look at this and go, okay, so this is in a city that has like there's not a lot of like places to go, not a lot of places to be. Like the stadium is a legendary stadium, but they would move out of that city in a second. And I don't think the league can have that happen. So they that's why it's kind of run the way that it's run, which is, yeah. So if you're ever at trivia, Drew, and you ever have a trivia question that says, what is the only team in the NFL that does not have an owner? It's the Green Bay Packers, man.
I will probably not retain this information.
Oh, well, it should be pretty easy to retain. Anyway, follow me at JPJ Loves Gaming on all social media platforms. I already told you where I'll be tonight and every Thursday night, 8 p.m. between two beards. On Monday nights, I want to say starting next week, but definitely starting at least the week before, some form of the post show on Body Slam will be back. We've had a member that got a really good opportunity, and they've been kind of not around, and it's kind of caused the show to go on hold here the last 2 or 3 weeks. Tough time to do it, but it is what it is. But that show will be coming back. But last night, we debuted a new post show over on Body Slam with my pal Jose Gonzalez. Yes, okay. Jose Gonzalez, Jose on the air. Dynamiked up is what we're calling it.
Dynamiked up.
Dynamiked
I like that.
Up. Yeah, it was all right. Me and Jose were throwing some names around, and I was like, that feels like the best one to me. And we both agreed. So we started that last night. That was the first one. So right after Dynamites every Wednesday night over on Body Slam, me and Jose will be chopping it up, talking about Dynamite before Thursday mornings when I come on here and we talk about AEW as a whole and WWE and all that fun stuff with Drew. So next week should be the same time, same channel as today. And it should hopefully be that from here on out. But I will definitely know by the time we are sitting here next week. But next week, same time, same channel. Yeah, and then we'll kind of go from there. So thanks for hanging in, people. Thanks for being in the chat. Scott, Ophelia, Fernando, David, Maria, Sandy, all you guys. We appreciate you. And until next week, you guys know the drill. Drew and I will be seeing you. Till then, peace out.
Trap battle!